happens? Will the Buckeyes win and create controversy on New Year's Day? Or does Northwestern go to the Rose Bowl?
Well, first of all, I think the Michigan defense has a lot of pride. I don't think they're going to allow Eddie George to win the Heisman at Michigan Stadium. I think the Buckeyes win this one, Craig, but I think they win it with the forward pass.
Hey, first of all, you heard earlier in this show Ohio State's offensive linemen saying they bend over backwards to make sure their Heisman candidate excels. Guarantee the same thing happens in this ball game. Also, Ohio State's balance in the run and the pass, and the fact that Michigan Stadium is the least intimidating big stadium I've ever been in won't be a factor. Ohio State, boom.
Will Ohio State play tight? I think that's the question. Can Brian Griese come up with the effort of his life, a Michigan quarterback? Up next, we'll talk about...
Enough to the Big Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio. You can hear the revered echoes of Woody Hayes and Archie Griffin. At the Big House in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the indomitable spirit of Bo Schembechler and his loyal gridiron soldiers lives on. The big game rivalry intensifies year by year. Only the names change, like Hoying and Glenn of the Buckeyes. Concentration is at a premium. Ask Eddie George of Ohio State. Meanwhile, Brian Griese, Michigan's quarterback, hopes that youth will be served. His charges are nimble and quick. And forays into the end zone soon become maize and blue folklore. It all starts with a meticulous sideline game plan. John Cooper, coach of the Buckeyes, is no stranger to the rivalry. The jubilation of last year's Ohio State victory only served to heighten the expectations in this dream season. On the line for the Buckeyes, a trip to football's holy grail, the Rose Bowl, the 50th anniversary, featuring the best of the Big Ten against the best of the Pac-10. Ohio State, Michigan, next. We're at Mainen Stadium, Ann Arbor, Michigan. They call it, folks, the Big House, Michigan Stadium, as ABC Sports College Football and the Big Ten present Showtime, number 2 Ohio State against Michigan. It is the type of Saturday afternoon that often defines the intensity and passion that is college football. Good afternoon, everybody. Mark Jones in the Big House, and welcome to the biggest game of the year in the Big Ten. Michigan comes into this game pointing at history. You see, its last two coaches, Bo Schembechler and Gary Moeller, both defeated Ohio State on their first try. Ohio State, meanwhile, for all its success, has not been to the Rose Bowl since 1984, and they want to go in the worst way. Here's a look at the bowl scenario. If Ohio State wins, they make the trip to Pasadena. If Michigan wins, they go to one of those 3 bowls. In the event of a tie, Northwestern makes the trip out west. Here's why. The Wildcats are at 8-0, Ohio State at 7-0, but the Buckeyes have the better overall record. Having said that, Mr. Todd Blackledge, when you talk about Ohio State, you talk about an impotent, explosive offensive attack.
Well, Mark, the Buckeyes are like the Dallas Cowboys of college football. It starts with tailback Eddie George, 10 consecutive games, over 100 yards, and a possible Heisman Trophy after today's game. If teams gang up to stop the run, then there's quarterback Bobby Hoying and wide receiver Terry Glenn. Hoying has thrown 27 touchdown passes this year, 17 of them to Glenn. And Mark, this big 3 has accounted for 51 of the Buckeyes' 58 touchdowns on the season.
Now defensively, Michigan's got that locomotive in the middle ready to hold things down.
Well, they're led by their spiritual leader, Jarrett Irons, the linebacker, the leading tackler. Michigan has a good defense. They're number 1 in the Big Ten. They also are going to have a big game from quarterback Brian Griese, and he's going to have to pull a page out of his dad's playbook. One of Bob's trademarks was that he was always cool under pressure. Young Brian will be under pressure today from the Buckeyes.
A look at some series notes. This game has been so important for so long. 32 times it's decided the winner of the Big Ten. We're going to go back to John Saunders. A familiar scene in Ann Arbor. What else would you expect? Another sellout crowd. And we're going to go downstairs now to Dean Blethers.
Well, Mark, the wind and the field conditions will both be factors in this game. The wind is swirling 10 to 15 miles an hour. That will undoubtedly affect the passing game and the kicking game. As for the field, it's come a long way in the last couple of weeks, but it's still soft in a lot of places. And the coaches told me before the game that they'll probably have to do more north and south running and less east-west counter stuff. Mark?
All right, Dean, you know, Northwestern has a vested interest in the outcome of this game, and standing by live right now is our John Spagnola with Northwestern's head coach, Gary Barnett. John.
Thank you, Mark, and we are on the campus of Northwestern where a lot of people are watching this football game today. Let me set the scene for you quickly. And Ohio State lost today, and that means Northwestern is the Big Ten champs. They go to the Rose Bowl for the first time since 1949. If Ohio State wins, the Wildcats are Big Ten co-champs. they go to the Comp USA Florida Citrus Bowl and play Tennessee. And Gary Barnett, looks to me like either way you're in pretty good shape.
Either way, we're going to be warm for Christmas. But this is obviously an important game for us to watch, because we've set our goals going to the Rose Bowl. It represents the highest standard in the Big Ten, and that's where we want to go. And we've done everything we can do now to control our own destiny. Now it's up to someone else.
That's right. Okay, we're going to watch this game here today, Mark. So you enjoy it. Have a great game. We'll enjoy listening to your call and check back with you a little bit later on.
All right, John, grab yourself a little popcorn and some soda. Make yourself comfortable. Ohio State won the toss, deciding to defer. Michigan will receive. That's Amani Toomer, a dangerous kickoff returner. He's back deep, along with number 9, Mercury Hayes. Mike Malfoot kicking off for the Buckeyes. With a trip to Pasadena on the line for Ohio State. The kickoff. Hayes at the 5. Tripping over his own feet and falling down at the 25-yard line. John Cooper has seen this series become the bane of his tenure at Ohio State. Just 1-5-1 against the Wolverines. Meanwhile, Lloyd Carr is facing Ohio State for the first time as the head coach, although he has enjoyed some success against the Buckeyes as an assistant. First down and 10 for the Wolverines, the nose of the ball at the 25-yard line.
And Mark, the comment that Dean made early about the field still being soft showed up on that first play. A little slip by Hayes on the kickoff return.
The back's out of the eye. Biakabatuka dancing outside. The elusive Tim Biakabatuka with a nice gain on first down out to the 48-yard line, a 23-yard pickup. And Todd, a look at some of the keys to today's game.
Well, you can't do it any better than that. They must get off to a good start. They have been notoriously slow starters this season. They must possess the football and score points. And they must create an advantage in one of the other, either the kicking game or in turnovers.
Brian Greasy, the starting quarterback for the Wolverines, played his best game of the season last week against Penn State. So says the head coach, Lloyd Carr. First down at the 47-yard line. 3 wideouts for the Wolverines. It's Biakabatuka. Good stiff arm. 2 runs, 2 first downs for touchdown Tim. This one taking him down to the 35, an 18-yard pickup. He's already run for 45.
Well, this is the formation that Brian Greasy had a lot of success throwing the football out of last week. This time they line up with 3 wide receivers. He gets a good block by the tight end Remersma, and that's all he needed. A block from the tight end, a block from the wide receiver coming in there, Amani Toomer, and Biakabatuka off to a very fast start running the football for the Wolverines.
Out of Longueuil, Quebec, La Belle Provence. At last word, is still a part of Canada.
Nice job by Michigan early, switching up their formations. Now they're back to 2 tight ends. Last play they had 3 wide receivers and 1 back.
Remersma in the wing. This is Clarence Williams, and he is brought down at the 38-yard line. Belisari and Miller in on the tackle for the Buckeyes. Let's take a look at the Chile starting lineup. Amani Toomer out of Berkeley, California, a dangerous deep threat, although, Todd, he's not having the year that most people thought he would.
No, he had 54 catches last year. He didn't have that many, only 38 coming into the year this season, but he had his career high 8 receptions last week against Penn State, so he's on a little bit of a roll.
After a loss of 2, it is 2nd down and 12 for the Wolverines. Howard the lone back. Hayes split to the top of your screen. And now a little confusion for the Wolverines. Brian Greasy steps back and burns the team's first timeout with 14 minutes to play in the first quarter. Just getting underway. A pretty impressive drive so far for Michigan. We'll be right back. First time out of the ball game. It's 2nd down and 12 for the Wolverines. The ball to 37, Todd.
A little confusion. Good job by Greasy calling the timeout. Michigan is really changing up their formations, trying to spread out this Ohio State defense. It's worked pretty well for him here in the first quarter.
Hayes in motion to the bottom of your screen. Williams split to the top. Greasy to pass. And he wisely throws it out of bounds, and he ended up on his wallet back at the 45-yard line. Took a bit of a hit. The intended receiver, number 16, Jay Remersma.
Ohio State has gotten good pressure from their two defensive ends, Matt Finkus and Mike Vrabel. Again, the pocket kind of collapses on Greasy, and he does the smart thing, getting rid of the football.
Let's take a look at this Michigan offensive line led by John Runyon.
6'8", 299 pounds. He is an NFL prospect playing that difficult left tackle position.
They've had a lot of consistency on that offensive line, hence the success of Biaka Batuka this year. 3rd and 12. And they hand it off to Biaka Batuka. A shoestring tackle at the 32-yard line by Mike Vrabel, the defensive end. The ball now at the 32-yard line, within field goal range, but we'll see.
Good job by Mike Vrabel. You know he can rush the passer. He's the team leader in sacks, but look how smart he is reading the draw quickly. He came upfield 2 steps, read the draw, and then went in and made the tackle. I mean, you don't expect a guy who is a great outside pass rusher to be able to also play the draw that well. Mike Vrabel does them both.
Remy Hamilton in to attempt a field goal for Michigan from 49 yards out. He's 16 of 23 on the year. It might not have enough leg. It doesn't. So the Wolverines come up empty on their first drive of the ball game, and Ohio State will have possession when we come back. How much did he miss by? That much. Now Ann Arbor, Michigan. Ohio State with the ball on its own 32-yard line. Its first possession of the ball game. Backs lining up out of the eye. Sualua and George. George trying to win over some Heisman votes starting right now. George out to the 36, and we're going to go back to John Saunders in New York.
Mark, the other big one today, Florida State and Florida, and Danny Werfel goes to work right away to Ike Hilliard, but Todd Revel strips it rather. Darrell Bush recovers the ball, and it sets up this 40-yard field goal by Scott Bentley. Florida State on the board, 3-0. Mark.
Back here, John, 2nd down and 6 for the Buckeyes. Horing's going to pass. Now decides to take off himself. Horing sliding in safely, and there's a flag down at the 44-yard line. Horing picking up the first down. Zenkowitz making the hit. And this may have been a late hit.
Well, Mark, first of all, good job of recognition by Bobby Hoying. He saw that Michigan was coming with the corner blitz. Now the blitz is going to come from his left, and he's looking right in that direction. So he knows the blitz is coming. It's picked up by Eddie George. Now when nobody's open, since the corner blitz from that area, Hoying knows there's a lot of running room out in that area of the field. So he makes a good choice of where to run the football when his receivers were covered downfield. They picked up the blitz. He made a good decision running the ball.
It sure was. He showed a little versatility there. The call now from our official, Steve Pammon.
Holding defense. It'll be a 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. The dead ball, personal foul, is not a foul. Disregard the flag.
So they tack on 10 yards to the run by Bobby Hoying, and the ball now placed at the 46-yard line.
Was holding on the outside receiver. They were trying to get the ball to Terry Glenn, and that's where the penalty came. For Ohio State today, must maintain the offensive balance. They've got to apply pressure to Greasy, and they can't panic if things are tight. The last game they were tested in, October 14th against Wisconsin. 1st
and 10, the dangerous Terry Glenn in the slot right of Hoying. They hand it off to Eddie George, cutting back. George chewing up real estate down to the 36-yard line near another Buckeye first down. It is. He picks up 11. Look at Bobby Hoying, the starting senior quarterback, 6'4", out of St. Henry, Ohio. 55, count them, 55 career touchdown passes, an Ohio State record. Impressive, Todd.
Certainly is, and he's found a new weapon this year in Terry Glenn, who really was kind of a no-show last year, but he has just had a terrific year running the deep routes for Bobby Hoying.
The backs and receivers brought to you by Chili's. Glenn lining up in the slot left this time. Hoying is fixed on him. If you want to talk about circus catches, he'll give them to you every time. Terry Glenn complete down to the 19-yard line. He picks up 16 more yards for another Buckeye first down.
Well, this starts with protection because this is a deep route and it takes a long time to develop. Glenn is going to run all the way across the formation and catch it on the opposite sidelines. You see him go up and catch it with his hands. Now, he missed a game with a separated shoulder, but there's no fear in this guy. He's still going to sell out and give up his body going for the catch. That shows me right there, Terry Glenn's shoulder feels pretty good.
A former walk-on from Columbus, and Eddie George now running over the left side of that offensive line over Pace and Sumner down to the 15-yard line. The tackle made by Hankins and Carr. Let's take a look at that offensive line for the Buckeyes. Orlando Pace, Sumner, Porter, Daniels, and Golston up front.
Well, everybody knows about Orlando Pace. He's an All-American, but the center, Juan Porter, has had a great season as well. He's been playing like an all-conference performer in that center of the line.
He was the player of the week for the Buckeyes last week against Indiana. George on the sweep. And they string it out and get good corner support, and there's a flag down at the 15-yard line.
I think they got big Orlando Pace with a hold on that play. The flag came right towards his area.
And it goes against the Buckeyes. Let's take another look at the infraction and the play.
Let's take a look at watch Orlando Pace working against Jason Horn. He's got his arm up on the shoulder pads and a hold of the jersey. I don't know, it's kind of a tough call to make. Orlando Pace has the ability to be a dominating blocker. That time they got him with the hold.
Michigan's defensive front may be the best in the conference, led by Carr up front.
#1 defense, #1 against the run. A lot of that is because William Carr really emerged in the center of that defense.
A look at the secondary, which has been freed up to do their job because of the good job by the underneath people this year.
Yeah, Thompson was the cornerback. They moved him to strong safety to get him more involved in the run support on both sides of the field. He's a very good player.
Movement up front on 2nd down and 19. And we have our second consecutive play where a flag is thrown.
And again, we see the problem with the softness of the field. William Carr had time to get back on his side, couldn't make it.
Offside, defense. 5-yard penalty, it's still 2nd down.
See, William Carr had the time to get back set up. The center, Juan Porter, does a great job of snapping the ball once he saw that William Carr couldn't get there. And you know, the quarterback has to be alert. He has to expect that snap at any time.
A look at Michigan's first quarter scoring. The defense allowing just 3 points. Backs out of the eye. Hoying's going to pass. They set up the screen to Sualua. One man can't bring him down. Nicky Sualua down to the 8-yard line. And he's close to a first down for the Buckeyes. Hankins and Steele making the tackle for Michigan.
Excellent play call by offensive coordinator Joe Hollis. Watch Bobby Hoying fake the screen to Eddie George. The defense went with George. It's a double screen. You come back to the fullback the other way. They pull the center out. Juan Porter, he gets a good block. Very well executed. Double screen. They fake the screen to the tailback. Everybody runs that way. You slip the center out to the backside and give it to the fullback.
Look at Ohio State inside the red zone this year. Pretty good conversion rate.
Well, look how many touchdowns, Mark. 42 touchdowns. I mean, that's more than most people get in a couple seasons in the red zone.
Most of those coming from the big three, Hoying, George, and Glenn. Just underway here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Zeros on the scoreboard.
You know, a lot of times people talk about time of possession, and they talk that it's kind of an irrelevant statistic. Well, it is irrelevant if you're not effective in the red zone, but if you're effective in the red zone like Ohio State is, then time of possession is a key statistic as well. Take a look at Michigan's numbers inside the 20.
This Michigan defense has been solid all year long. John Cooper says that this Buckeye team is the best that he's ever had with respect to work ethic and doing exactly as they're told. Meanwhile, Coach Carr
experiencing the head coaching duties first time around against Ohio State. Third down and short. Hoying keeps it himself for the first down. Hoying, a pretty good sized quarterback, Todd, at 6'4", 225. Following his center that time, Juan Porter, and LaShawn Daniels, the right guard.
And he ran that quarterback sneak aggressively, Mark. What I like to see, some quarterbacks, they kind of try to tiptoe in there and get that first down. Bobby Hoying just took one step back and really lowered his shoulder and his head right behind his center, Juan Porter.
And his head was a bit of a question coming into this game. He suffered a slight concussion last week against Indiana, but he appears to be lucid and clear here today. First and goal for the Buckeyes. Two tight end set, Dudley and Hauser. Hoying looked for Glenn in the back of the end zone, but threw it out of the back of the end zone. It'll be second down and goal.
Good coverage that time by the Michigan secondary. They had single coverage on Terry Glenn. Bobby Hoying saw it. He's going to roll to Glenn. It's really a one-receiver route. He only has one guy going out. He kept both backs in to block. So it's one-on-one, trying to get the ball to Glenn. You can only wait so long for a play like that to develop. After a certain amount of time, you got to just get rid of the football.
And look at this current drive, 9 plays, 60 yards, a little over 4 minutes on the clock. Glenn now split to the short side of the field. Now he moves in motion to the top of your screen. They hand it off to George. George brought down at the 4-yard line. He gains about 3. It'll be third down and goal. This Ohio State offense, Todd, unpredictable. They throw on first, run on second.
Great balance. When you have a tailback that runs for as many yards as Eddie George, you better have a fullback that's blocking in front of him. Excellent job by Nicky Sualua taking on the middle linebacker Sam Sword, standing him up in the hole and letting the tailback cut right off his back.
Eddie George, an impressive resume. Look at those stats. Got a little paint on his sombrero there, too. Little maze. 4 rushes for 23 yards for George so far. Third and goal. On the waggle, Hoying brought down at the 15. Clarence Thompson made a nice play on defense.
That's exactly why Lloyd Carr wanted to move Clarence Thompson to strong safety. You can get him involved in more plays. If he was still in the cornerback, he would have been in coverage on the wide receiver. You put him at strong safety, and you allow him to blitz off the corner. He's going to come right from the top of the screen, number 17. He's coming on a blitz all the way, and a great arm tackle to stop quarterback Bobby Hoying.
In now to attempt the field goal for Ohio State is Josh Jackson. This one coming from 32 yards out. He has missed 5 of his last 7, but he looked solid in warm-ups just moments ago. A flag down.
They may have run out of time on the play clock, Mark. That flag came before the ball was snapped.
Well, if you can read lips, our official, Steve Hammond, said that it was delay of game. And that'll move it back a little bit.
Delay of game, offense. 5-yard penalty.
There we go, Steve. Now we got that mic working.
And whenever your kicker's struggling a little bit, you don't need things like this to make it, to put any more pressure on the kick. I mean, you mentioned he's missed 5 of his last 7. The footing's a little soggy down there. Now you've just added 5 yards to the attempt.
They're going to do it again from 37 this time. And he makes it just inside that right upright. So Josh Jackson putting 3 points on the board for the Buckeyes. 3 points closer to Pasadena. We'll be right back. Right here on ABC Sports. And a look at Josh Jackson, who just barely made that 37-yard field goal, getting a fortuitous bounce off the upright. Moffitt's kick comes down at the 10 to Mercury Hayes. Hayes tackled at the 26-yard line.
Antoine Winfield made the tackle.
Antoine Winfield making the tackle that time for the Buckeyes.
So Brian Greasy will lead Michigan on its second offensive possession of the game. A look at the Ohio State defense. That front four, you got to love those two bookend ends, Todd.
Yeah, the defense plays relentless, and the middle linebacker, Greg Belisari, is the leading tackler. He's in his first year starting as the middle linebacker, has had a very solid season for the Buckeyes.
Pincus and Vrabel, two great pass rushers as well. Greasy on the waggle. Has his tight end open. Down to the 34-yard line. They have a nice gain, and it's about 3 yards shy of the first down. Campbell making the reception.
Everybody talks about Sean Springs, and he's a great player at one corner. That's why I think Ty Howard is probably the guy that Brian Greasy is going to try to attack. Michigan has two very talented wide receivers, and a lot of people just try to stay away from Sean Springs. Ty Howard should get some work today.
Second down and 3, Bianca Batuka. First down, Wolverines out to the 50-yard line, a 16-yard pickup. If you told me that he had a calf injury, I'd tell you you were lying. Tishmanga Bianca Batuka, born in Zaire, Africa, his family emigrating to just outside Montreal, Quebec. When he was young, picked up football at just 16 years old. Kind of late for most people, but he's really caught on. That's an understatement. And he has just moved into second place on the Michigan single-season rushing list, past Rob Lytle. 4 rushes today for 61 yards. 3 wide receivers set, and they run it up the gut. Bianca Batuka to the 7.
Again, the 3 wide receiver formation. They're stretching out this Ohio State defense. A nice job blocking on the linebacker, Ryan Miller. He gets taken down by Joe Marinero, and that's all that Bianca Batuka needed was a little bit of a crease. The formation that Michigan is using with 3 wide receivers and 1 back is stretching out this Ohio State defense and opening some nice seams in the running game.
I counted, Todd. He made 5 people miss on that run. Michigan threatening. Ball at the 7-yard line. Bianca Batuka in the ace formation. This time wrapped up nicely, and he falls forward at the 4-yard line. Back to New York and John Saunders.
Mark, Florida and Florida State, and the Gators going to work. Danny Werfel looks to the end zone to Jaquez Green. He's right back there at the very end and makes the catch, 22 yards. 30th of the season for Werfel. That's an SEC record. Mark.
Back here, Michigan with 2nd and goal. Bianca Batuka out of the ball game. Chris Howard, the tailback. Williams in motion. Play fake into the end zone. Touchdown, Wolverines. Williams. The freshman out of Detroit, and there's the reaction from Coach Barnett in Northwestern. Remy Hamilton in for the extra point. Wolverines scoring on their 2nd drive in the ball game. The majority of the work done by Bianca Batuka. Williams cashes in to give the Wolverines a 7-3 lead.
Well, Clarence Williams is going to line up as the fullback, and they're going to put him in motion. Here he is right here. He's going to come in motion and run this route. The tight end runs to the back of the end zone. Now, it's just a read that Brian Greasy has to make. He's got one guy running shallow. He's got the tight end running to the deep of the end zone, and he does a nice job eluding the rush and picking the right man, going to the underneath throw for the touchdown. A nice throw by Brian Greasy. First, he has to get away from Vrabel, and then he makes the nice throw on the run to the front corner of the end zone. Well executed by Brian Greasy.
That drive, Todd, 5 plays, moving 73 yards, using up just 1:55 on the clock. Capped by that Williams 4-yard touchdown catch. and the bulk of the work done by Bianca Batuka. In that drive, he ran 3 times for a total of 62 yards.
And really a huge turnaround for Michigan. They get the ball moved on them by Ohio State, but they stiffen up and force the field goal. Then their offense comes on the field and gets a touchdown, so they're winning in the ball game.
Feely with the kickoff for the Wolverines. 5 yards deep. And Demetrius Stanley says, I don't think so. At the conclusion of today's game, we'll be selecting a genuine Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team. To date, Chevrolet has contributed almost $5.5 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities. You know, you talk about the quarterback, Bob Greasy, a colleague of ours at ABC, his son, Brian, throwing that last touchdown pass. Bob was saying that, you know, Mark, every time Brian throws a touchdown pass, they say that he's talented. When he throws an interception, they say he learned that from his daddy.
Should be the other way around.
Eddie George on 1st and 10. Slips out of one set of Ohio State arms, runs down to the 24-yard line, tackled finally by Glenn Steele. Eddie George, a big guy. He can elude tacklers, break a few tackles himself. 6'3", 230 pounds, a senior.
You know, the interesting thing to me about Eddie George, and I think it's a testimony to what hard work and dedication can do for a young man. Eddie George is faster this year as a senior than he was last year as a junior. Most people think you only improve when you're in high school. You can't improve between your junior and senior year in college. Eddie George is a better running back. He's a faster running back than he was last year. That's hard work.
It is 2nd down and 7. A run out of the eye again. George brought down at the 24-yard line. Glenn Steele once again making the tackle from that end position. Michigan with the #1 defense in the Big Ten. It'll be 3rd down and about 5 to go for Ohio State.
We talked about Jarrett Irons being the heart and soul of this defense, the leading tackler. You see, he wasn't fooled by the pass fake. He knows draw's coming, but he's going to have a tough job when he's trying to get rid of the block of Nicky Sualua. Sualua is a very good blocking fullback. Jarrett Irons is going to have his hand full taking him on today.
The dangerous and clutch Terry Glenn is split to the top of your screen. Hoying sacked at the 17, the second of the day. The Z-man, Trent Zenkowicz, number 76, making the sack.
Michigan comes with a blitz. They bring both linebackers. Irons comes and also Copenhaver. They rush 6, and nobody is open downfield. Hoying has nowhere to go. The pressure came up the middle, and Zenkowicz finished him off. Good call of the blitz, and also excellent coverage in man-to-man downfield allowed them to get to the quarterback.
Brent Bartholomew, Todd, punting now for Ohio State. Standing at his own 3-yard line. Back deep, Amani Toomer for the Wolverines. A low line drive returnable punt. Toomer at the 35. This one's going to come back. It's a clip. And Toomer is brought down at the 32-yard line. A couple of flags down in the field. One of them was an obvious clip. A 48-yard punt, -3 on the return.
Yeah, bad decision there on making that block, which you don't need, because already if you just make a fair catch, you're going to start in good field position. But now you get the bad block, and also maybe a case of Amani Toomer trying to make too much happen.
In the back, receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. 1st down.
A pretty obvious clip. Toomer trying to make something happen here.
Yeah, I mean, he's a senior, and he wants to make a play. There's the clip right there coming in as Toomer's trying to cross the field. That was Diallo Anderson, a strong safety, in there on the punt return team. The block in the back, and now what started as good field position, Michigan comes out and has the ball on the 21-yard line.
Brian Greasy has shown a lot of poise so far in the early going. Sophomore junior quarterback out of Miami, Columbus High School. They hand it off on 1st and 10. Bianca Batuka. Every time he touches the pill, you get the feeling he just might break one, Todd. He picks up 18 that time. Tackled by Mike Grable.
I think in the locker room this week, they've been saying Eddie who, because Bianca Patuca is having a great day early in this ball game. Again, the formation spreads out the defense. Greasy makes the nice run check. They're stretching the defense, and he's finding creases. And Bianca Patuca now 7 carries, 125 yards.
A look at the big house, a panoramic view of one of the most storied stadiums in college football. 3:20 to play in the first quarter. Flags down. Bianca Patuca down at the line of scrimmage at the 40-yard line. The tackle made by Ryan Miller, a 6'2", 220-pound junior. The infraction against the Wolverines. Well, the Goodyear blimp is floating overhead, providing our aerial views for today's game. The Goodyear blimp, one of America's most enduring corporate images. Just arrived from Akron, Ohio, just a few moments ago.
You know, his garage is right in my backyard, just about.
Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Offense. The penalty is declined. 2nd down.
Yeah, Todd, I was wondering how you beat rush hour traffic. Now I know how. You got that blimp up there. Lloyd Carr pensively pacing the sidelines, his team leading 7-3 with 3:10 to play in the first quarter. Bianca Patuca getting work and trying to get work done. Brought down at the 41-yard line by Greg Balisari. This Monday, a special Action Monday with a full hour of America's Funniest Home Videos on a special night. It's videos this Monday on ABC, and on ABC's NFL Monday Night Football, the Oakland Raiders trying to keep pace in the AFC West as they face the Chargers. Don't miss Action Monday right here on ABC. It's 3rd down and 8. Mercury Hayes split wide to the top of your screen. Toomer to the bottom. A 2 tight end set. Flags down. Greasy has a man. Hayes, spring spell, and Hayes could go. Pushed out of bounds at the 9-yard line, but keep in mind, there's a flag back at the 41. A 49-yard pickup. There was a little motion up front. And this one is going to come back. Luckily for the Buckeyes.
Illegal shift. Offense. 2 men moving prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, 3rd down.
Todd, in Canadian football, that's okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is too bad for Brian Greasy and Mercury Hayes. A great throw and catch on the sideline. Hayes has the awareness to stay in bounds. He did not step out of bounds when the cornerback fell down, and a big play for the Wolverines coming back. They brought 1 tight end in motion, so you can only have 1 guy moving at one time. And obviously there was movement by another player. 2 guys in motion at the same time. Penalty against Michigan.
Michigan a little sloppy, Todd. 4 penalties for a total of 30 yards so far today. Chris Howard now is the lone back. 3 receivers for the Wolverines. Underneath to Remersma, and it's incomplete. So Michigan will punt on 4th down and 13. Ty Howard, the defender on the play. Michigan kind of self-destructing on that drive.
Well, you mentioned the penalties. Now, part of that is just nerves, you know, a big ball game. I think another part of it is they're using a lot of different formations. They're using different personnel groups and different formations, and it's been very effective for them, but they've got to make sure they're all on the same page in their alignments.
Paul Peristeris running from his 25. Demetrius Stanley on the run. Pounces on the loose ball at the 30-yard line. A 33-yard punt, nothing on the return. The Buckeyes 1st and 10 from the 30. Look at some scores. Penn State and Michigan State playing in the land-grant trophy game. Iowa needing a win today to get their 6th win, Division I-A win, and make it to a bowl game. Illinois in the same boat. They also need to win today.
I think we're going to see Hoying trying to throw deep to Terry Glenn in this drive somewhere. They want to get at least 3 or 4 shots at him every game.
Out of the backfield in the flat. Eddie George juking.
and brought down at the 34-yard line. He picks up 4. Eddie George has drawn a lot of respect from people on the other side of the line of scrimmage, including Jarrett Irons. Here's what he had to say.
Playing against Eddie George for the last 2 years, I think that when I study his playing style now, he's a lot more mature. You know, he back in the day, he didn't make the cuts that he makes now, and that's one thing you have to watch out for. He's a smarter runner, and he's a stronger runner than he's ever been.
Eddie George right out of Central Casting, too. A prototype tailback, incomplete, intended for Buster Tillman. Let's go back to John Saunders now in New York. Florida State still entertaining hopes and thoughts of winning the national title, although they do have that one blemish on their record.
It's been a great year going down to the last weekend. I mean, that's what you want in college football.
3rd down and 6 for the Buckeyes. George the lone back. 2 tight end set. They pass out of it. Wide open, Terry Glenn. Glenn brought down on Michigan's side of midfield at the 49-yard line. They were working on Charles Woodson, and man, did he give Glenn a lot of space time.
Yeah, you want to talk about some respect now. Now, this is a freshman cornerback, Charles Woodson. He is going to be a great player. He's having a solid year, but he has to respect the deep running ability of Terry Glenn. He gives him a lot of cushion, and Glenn makes him pay for it. Glenn has that burst. He has the ability to run by people. You must respect that. You give him that cushion, and he makes the big catch for 1st down.
Bill Mallory, who we spoke with a couple days ago, the head coach of Indiana, says Glenn is better than Joey Galloway and Desmond Howard. Hoying looking up top for Glenn. Clarence Thompson was in on the coverage along with Woodrow Hankins.
Yeah, that's excellent coverage by Woodrow Hankins. He's the corner, so he's responsible for running downfield stride for stride with Glenn. The safety, Clarence Thompson, he's responsible for coming over and giving help. There's the safety, 17 in the middle of the screen. He's going to be responsible for coming over and helping the corner. But Hankins has the toughest job. He's got to run down the field stride for stride. He does it. He cuts him off. That's good work by Woodrow Hankins, making the first start this year at cornerback. They move Thompson into strong safety. Hankins in making his first start of the season.
On 2nd down and 10, they hand it off to George. George brought down at the 43-yard line. And back to John Saunders in New York.
Mark, if Ohio State doesn't win this game, they won't be going to the Rose Bowl. They'll be going to the Citrus Bowl to face likely Tennessee, although Damian Allen, 12 yards to Fred Baker here, and Vanderbilt leads Tennessee 7-0. Mark, back to you.
7-3, time winding down in the first period of play. Quick 3-step drop. Open over the middle. Eddie George tackled at the 35-yard line. It's a 1st down for Ohio State. A lot riding on this game. What is going through the mind of head coach Gary Barnett of Northwestern? Probably to play. Michigan holding a 7-3 lead. Ohio State 1st and 10 from the Wolverine 35-yard line. To Eddie George, gets a good block, cuts it inside, and he's brought down at the 27-yard line, 2 yards shy of the 1st down. Jarrett Irons making the tackle, a name you'll hear a lot this afternoon. Irons.
Take a look at Orlando Pace now, the big left tackle working on Glenn Steele. He gets his hands to the inside and then drives the legs. That's why Orlando Pace can be a dominating blocker. He's not only big and strong, Mark, but he's a terrific athlete. He has very agile feet. So once he gets his body into you, he can keep his feet moving and knock you on your butt.
Eddie George only needs 1 more yard for the single-season rushing record at Ohio State. He got that and then some. Right there, Eddie George. Down to the 19-yard line, brought down by Clarence Thompson. George now breaking that mark at Ohio State, which was held by Keith Byers, set in 1984. Eddie George out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. former hurdler in high school. A lot of athletic talent. And the meter's still running at 17:77. He's run 9 times today for a total of 55 yards. 1st and 10 on the 19 for the Buckeyes. They keep him busy, and he keeps defenses busy. Down to the 12-yard line that time. Irons again making the tackle. Todd, Ohio State mixing it up on offense.
Yeah, they really have. You see, Michigan had the big edge in rushing yardage in that first quarter, and so what did Joe Hollis do in this drive? He's gone to more of a passing game. It loosened up the Michigan defense. Now they're running the ball effectively again. That total yardage should be up fairly close to being even now in this first drive of the second quarter for Ohio State.
Eddie George coming onto the field, getting a well-deserved rest. He won't be on the sidelines for long, though. Pepe Pearson out of Euclid, Ohio, in for him. On the ISO, Sualua gives him a good block. Pearson down to the 3-yard line. Nicky Sualua at 250, Todd, can make a little bit of space for you.
Yeah, he's a great blocker. I mean, he's 245 pounds, and so, I mean, all you want to do as a tailback is just kind of get in his hip pocket. Let him get into the body of the linebacker, and whichever way that linebacker tries to go, you cut to the opposite side, and Pearson did that very well.
As Tim Spencer, the running back coach, says, if you don't come at Nicky correctly, Nicky will correct you.
Yeah, he'll hurt you, too.
12:50 to play in the period. 1st and goal for the Buckeyes. Pearson still in there on the toss. Swarmed. Lost back at the 11-yard line. William Carr leading the surge. They lost about 6 yards on that toss sweep.
Excellent play by William Carr coming from the inside. Now, first of all, they stand up the Ohio State offensive line at the point of attack. There you see William Carr coming from his nose tackle position, and you see the quickness of William Carr. 270-pound guy, but a nice play.
And the people back at Northwestern love it.
Well, they play good defense at Northwestern, too. They appreciate a good defensive play like that by the nose guard, William Carr.
That is a live audience back in Evanston, Illinois. We'll be checking in with them during the course of the afternoon. Hoying to Ricky Dudley, the tight end. 3, count them 3 Michigan tacklers on the spot at the 6-yard line, led by Clarence Thompson. Ricky Dudley, the tight end, making the catch.
Ricky Dudley is another huge weapon that Ohio State has. He's a very gifted athlete, so they can move him around and do a lot of different things with him. And the one thing that Ricky Dudley gives Ohio State, it makes it very tough for teams to play cover 2 defense against them. They can't roll up the corners to take away the wide receivers because that leaves weaknesses in the middle. And when you got a tight end like Dudley who can run down the middle, he can hurt you.
3rd and goal. Glenn is in the slot left. 2 tight ends set. They run it to Eddie George. He's not going to get in. The maize and blue defense standing up and planting their feet firmly for the stop. William Carr once again leading the charge.
Yeah, William Carr again using his quickness to get to the outside and forcing Eddie George to try to cut it back to the inside. And when he made that cut, he lost his balance and wasn't able to go forward. Good play by William Carr on a little run stunt getting to the outside.
Joe Hollis, the offensive coordinator for the Buckeyes, a little bit disappointed, obviously. In to attempt the field goal from 21 yards out, Josh Jackson, who on his last successful attempt ricocheted off the upright. This one is right down the highway. Buckeyes now trail by just 1 point. We'll be right back to the Big House. Johnny Toomer for Michigan. Going to be Toomer. Brought down at the 11.
I want to take you back to this 3rd down play. Now, Ohio State has a great offensive line, but I want you to watch William Carr. He's going to just beat the left guard, Jamie Sumner, and Eddie George is not going to expect to see Carr in the hole. As he makes the cut, there's William Carr that flashes right in his face. He had to try to cut to the inside, and he lost his footing. Just a good one-on-one play by William Carr beating the guard, Jamie Sumner. And again, they keep him out of the end zone, and that's been the strength of this team. The Michigan defense has been very good in keeping teams out of the end zone.
And now, Todd, it is Brian Griese's opportunity. Tim Biakabatuka getting a breather
because of that long Ohio State drive, and now the Ohio State defense getting charged up, making the tackle at the 11-yard line. Coming up next, we begin coverage of golf's most entertaining event. The defending champ, Tom Watson, Fred Couples, Corey Pavin, and Peter Jacobson play the skins game. It comes away from Palm Desert's Bighorn Golf Club. Next, right here on ABC Sports. No gain on first down. It's going to be 2nd down and 10. Bianca Batuka, the lone back. Wide open, Amani Toomer. First down, Michigan at the 27-yard line. A gain of 16, Todd.
And a nice job by Brian Greasy. Now, what Ohio State is trying to do now, they've been hurt in the running game. So against this spread formation, they're now trying to creep up the safety. Now, look, this is the safety. He's going to creep up there to try to give them 8 people in this box, and that means you have to throw the football. Greasy sees that there's 8 guys in there. The advantage is to throw the football, and he waits till Toomer gets right in the middle of the field, and it's a good completion. When there's 8 people in the box, you need to throw the football. It's very difficult to run. Good recognition by the Michigan offense.
And if you just turned on your television set, Bianca Batuka has run for over 100 yards already today. And he gains about 4 more right there on 1st and 10 out to the 32-yard line.
Take a look at this now. I mean, Ohio State's run defense has been very good through the season, particularly the last 3 or 4 weeks, but Tim Bianca Batuka is off to a great start. Now, Ohio State has already made an adjustment. I just mentioned it. They're trying to bring an extra guy up into that box area around the 2 tackles. They're moving the safety up in there. They're going to force Brian Greasy to throw the football on him. They're not going to give up the easy running yards anymore. Here it is again.
And they run it against those 8 men, and Bianca Batuka finds some space over the left side. Anthony Quinn finally making the tackle, but not before Bianca Batuka picked up 33 more yards. He's got to be a little tired.
Well, this is all Tim Bianca Batuka, because you're going to see Ryan Miller, number 43. Nobody blocks him, but he misses the tackle. I mean, he's there unblocked in position to make the play, but Bianca Batuka just makes him miss, and then he's off for a good run. Ohio State was in the right defense. They had a guy there to make the play, but you can't miss tackles when you do that.
And look at the numbers. You know, Todd, let's talk about this right now. Bianca Batuka is well respected by his Michigan teammates, some of them even saying that he's better than Eddie George. Williams in motion. Greasy to pass. Batted down at the line of scrimmage. Incomplete. And downstairs to Dean Blevins. Dean. All right, we'll catch up with Dean a little bit later. The nose of the ball on the 36-yard line. And as I spoke with some of the Michigan people earlier this week, they were saying that Bianca Batuka is probably as skilled as Eddie George, although he might not be receiving as much publicity. 2nd and 10, here he is. Bianca Batuka diving forward to the 31-yard line. Let's go down to Dean Blevins.
Guys, Bill Young, the defensive coordinator at Ohio State, has made some adjustments. He keeps talking to his players about getting better penetration. He says, guys, we're not getting off of our blocks. And he said, especially down there on the goal line, don't wait for them to come to you. Go attack. And that's the name of any defensive scheme.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dean, and I think they've made the adjustment also of trying to get an extra guy in there in the running game. But even though you get the bodies in there, you've got to be good tackling. And Tim Bianca Batuka has shown that he can make some people miss with the football.
Howard now in, giving Bianca Batuka a rest. Greasy finds his receiver. As Streets, number 86, complete. At the 24-yard line, he was working on Sean Springs, something you don't see done often. Springs, Ohio State's best corner.
This is an excellent route by Ty Streets, because here's Sean Springs right here, and it's bump and run coverage. He's got to sell the takeoff in order to get this comeback. You've got to sell the corner on the fact that you're going to run the fade and take it all the way to the end zone. If you don't convince him you're going there, you'll never be open on this route. Nice job by Streets selling the deep route and then coming back to the football.
Brian Greasy, 4 of 7 today, a total of 35 yards. Guess who's back in the game? Bianca Batuka, brought down right at the line of scrimmage at the 22-yard line. by Luke Fickle, the 6'4", 260-pound junior playing tackle. Yakabatuka, a kinesiology major, and so he obviously knows something about movement.
He's moving a little bit gingerly right now coming off. You see that pad on his leg, and I think Dean's going to get into that a little bit later in the ball game. He's had some problems with his lower leg, but he certainly is not showing any signs of it today. Really having a great first half.
Yeah, 14 rushes so far, 169 yards against a very, very good defense. They did not get the playoff, but did they call a timeout? We're going to call a timeout and come right back. 4 times, completing 4 passes on 7 attempts.
The good news is if Ohio State gangs up on the run, there's going to be a lot of man-to-man coverage, and he has good receivers on the outside.
Toomer split to the bottom of your screen. Greasy looks his way, but is brought down, but not before he gets rid of it out of bounds. Under heavy pressure from Luke Fickle and Mike Vrabel. Vrabel, one of the better defenders up front for Ohio State.
See, the worst kind of pressure if you're a quarterback is the pressure that comes right up into your face from a defensive tackle. If it comes from the outside, then you can kind of step up in the pocket and just allow the rush to go behind you. But when a tackle or a nose guard gets good penetration like Fickle did on that play, makes it very tough to maintain your concentration downfield.
All right, Todd, 3rd down and 10. Yakabatuka back in the game. Michigan out of an ace formation, 2 tights, 2 wideouts. A toss sweep to the near side of the field. Yakabatuka will not get the first down. He stopped right at the 21-yard line, so Remy Hamilton will come in to attempt the field goal. Kevin Johnson, the JC transfer, making the stop. The 6'2", 220-pound junior.
Good defense by Ohio State that time. They were not fooled by the formation, and Michigan is giving more pass formations on 1st and 2nd down, going to more 2 tight ends formation on 3rd down, tried to fool them with that and run the football, but Ohio State was not fooled.
Out of the hold of Jay Remersma, a former quarterback. From 38 yards out, it's good. And the Wolverines increase their lead to 10-6. Courtesy of the semifinalists for the Lou Groza Award, Remy Hamilton. We'll be right back. Feely kicking off for the Wolverines. A shallow kick. Fair catch called at the 27-yard line. That's where Bobby Hoying will direct his offense from.
Michigan's defense, the #1 ranked defense in the Big Ten and #1 against the run. You can see 88.7 yards per game they've allowed. Eddie George came into this ball game averaging 157 yards a game. So far, 11 carries, 57 yards for Eddie George. So Michigan, I think it's a pride issue with them. I think they have determined that they are not going to let Eddie George win the Heisman Trophy in their house on their field against this defense.
Yeah, they do have respect for Eddie George, but the Michigan defense not going overboard. They're not intimidated by Eddie George. Play fake by Hoying. Has Glenn open. Glenn at the 46-yard line. A 25-yard pickup. He was working on Woodson.
Nice job by Ohio State. Joe Hollis, the offensive coordinator, calling for the play action. Watch the good fake by Bobby Hoying. He's throwing to the twin receivers. He's got Terry Glenn in the slot, running the deep out route, and it's a perfect throw. You want to let him catch that ball on the move. That's a good throw and catch, Bobby Hoying to Terry Glenn. That tandem has really developed some chemistry this year that's been very special for the team in Columbus.
Yeah, ask their opponents around the Big Ten. 7 of 10 for Bobby Hoying today, a total of 88 yards. Another play fake, and another, not quite a completion. It's not often that you will see a drop pass like that by Terry Glenn.
And they're picking on Charles Woodson a little bit right now, Mark, because they realize that Woodson is being a little tentative. He's given a little too much cushion to Terry Glenn, and so they're just going to go after him. This is a ball that Terry Glenn probably should have caught. I mean, he had his hands on it, and he makes most of those catches. Just kind of lost his concentration right there. But Charles Woodson, #2, is probably going to have to try to just have a little more guts to go up and challenge him a little bit. I mean, he's got the talent, but he's got to go up and challenge that receiver a little bit more.
Second down and 10, split backs. They'll give it to Eddie George. He's got skills down to the 41-yard line, but Bianca Batuka has skills too, and Jared Irons compared the two runners and who he would take.
If I had to take one, I'd take Tim. I mean, not just because I play in the team with him, but because I play against both backs. Tim is a great back. You know, he's always gonna get that extra yard. He takes a lot of hits. He's tough. That's one thing you can know about Tim. He's durable. You know, he takes a lot of hits. He runs hard, and he's fast, and he makes the cuts. And if you watch his feet, you know, he makes those cuts. And that's one thing I think that it's helped our defense. You know, practicing against Tim and the way he runs. You know, that's why our defense is so good against the run. There's no back in the country better than Tim. And I think that's why we've had success.
And they had some success as we look at Irons on 3rd and 5. And now the Michigan offense will come onto the field after this punt by Ohio State.
And Mark, the Michigan defense has had success at the right times, and that's what they've got to be very pleased about. They're not going to shut down this Ohio State offense, but coordinator Greg Madison has to be very happy when they've had to make plays on defense in this first half. They have really risen to the occasion.
Bart Bartholomew punting from his own 45-yard line. And the play clock expiring on the Buckeyes.
That's a little bit different than when you get that penalty when you're lined up for a field goal. When you do it in a punting situation, it's not that big of a deal because now it makes it even easier to try to pin them down deep. But on a field goal, that just adds distance to the attempt.
Bartholomew of Ohio State, the punter, with 10 punts inside the 20-yard line this year.
Dead ball, delay of game, offense. 5 yards from the previous spot, it's still 4th down.
As you mentioned, Todd, it really doesn't hurt them that much.
It actually helps a punter because pooch punting is a very difficult thing to do. I mean, you know, you have to really, it's a finesse punt, and so the more room that you have to work with, usually the easier and the more success you have.
Bartholomew hangs it up high. It's going to be ruled a touchback, a 46-yard punt, and Michigan will start on its own 20-yard line. Well, coming up
to decide your fate on the field, you know, I mean, to sit there and watch it be in the hands of someone else, that's got to be brutal.
We have 4:26 to play in the first half. Bianca Batuka, this first half has belonged to the young man from Quebec, Canada. Let's go back to another Canadian, John Saunders. And just in case you're wondering, I'd have a Canadian passport as well. Chris Howard in a tailback. Bianca Batuka taking a breather. Play fake. Complete to Mercury Hayes at the 34-yard line. And another Michigan first down. Good ball handling that time by the young quarterback, Brian Greasy.
And again, man-to-man coverage because Ohio State jumped into the Bear defense, an 8-man front. You've got great receivers on the outside, and we mentioned Ty Howard would probably be the guy that they would pick on a little bit, favoring to go away from Sean Springs. Good throw and catch, Brian Greasy to Mercury Hayes.
Greasy, surprisingly, a former walk-on, but 3 weeks into his freshman season, he went on scholarship. He's 5 of 9. The reverse to Mercury Hayes. Baby, does he have room. Hayes down to the 39-yard line. A little trickery by the Wolverines, Todd.
And when I talked to Bill Young, the defensive coordinator this week, he said every year trick plays from Michigan have hurt us. Here's a reverse. Brian Greasy's going to get a great block on the play, and they get that aggressive Ohio State defense flowing one way, and they bring the reverse back. A good call at the right time by Fred Jackson. There's a right time and a wrong time to call a reverse play. That time, Fred Jackson picked the right time.
Todd, the fake was so good that Vrabel and Fickle tackled Bianca Batuka. He didn't even have the ball at the time. 3 wide receiver set. Howard the back. Greasy. Oh! Picked off. Wow. Sean Springs.
What a play we just saw.
Check that guy's hands. That's illegal. Huh.
Sean Springs is the closest thing to a superstar that Ohio State has on defense. Watch him make this play. Mercury Hayes, the ball is not very well thrown. It's high into the outside, and it looked like Hayes was going to make the catch, but Springs is able to just rip it out with one hand. He did that all with his left arm in one motion, pulled the ball out, and you know, Sean Springs is just a guy you don't want to pick on very often.
And a look at the reaction of the Northwestern players live in Evanston, Illinois. Ohio State taking over on its own 29. Hoying has Glenn wide open at the 43, first down, stopping the clock with 3:31 to play in the first half. They're still giving Terry Glenn a lot of cushion on that corner. He is picking on Woodson again, a 14-yard pickup and another first down. And Bobby Hoying getting into an offensive rhythm. Hoying, with the help of Walt Harris, the new quarterback coach this year, has helped him see a lot more of the field, and he's been a lot more productive.
Yeah, when you talk to the coaches at Ohio State, they say that Bobby Hoying's development this year has not been a surprise. They expected him to take the next step. Walt Harris has helped him get there.
He gets rid of it, but this could be grounding. He threw it towards the Wolverine bench. I think Lloyd Carr was the closest man.
And the right tackle, Eric Golston, is a little bit slow getting up. One thing about Ohio State's offensive line, the last 2 years, they have been completely healthy. And when Joe Hollis told me that the other day, he immediately started scrambling to find a piece of wood to knock off. They have not had any injuries for 2 years on the offensive line.
Offense. 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Loss of down. Second down.
Trent Zenkowitz had some pressure that time on Hoying.
Watch the pressure coming on Hoying. Just a good rush. Zenkowitz got off his man. He was able to keep fighting and keep scrapping and force the throw. They have made big plays in this first half when they've needed it.
This Ohio State offense, which has racked up almost 500 yards per game, has put only 6 points. 6 points on the board with 3:24 to play in the first half. And they're sacked again, back at the 25. Let's go back to John Saunders. Cover those Florida receivers. It's like basketball with shoulder pads. Split backs on 3rd and 27. George. Run out of bounds at the 33-yard line, and the maize and blue defense is rising to the occasion, and the fans voice their approval.
And they should, Mark. They should get a standing ovation, this defense right now, because that play by Sean Springs, the interception, could have really turned this ball game around. He made the big play. He got it back to this explosive offense with over 3 minutes left in the half, and they could go nowhere with the football. That was a terrific defensive stand by Michigan.
That's Bartholomew. And that is Amani Toomer, back at his own 30. Toomer will get a chance to return this one. Good special teams work by the Buckeyes that time. A 47-yard punt and only 5 on the return. Floating above all this action is a very familiar sight, the Goodyear blimp. Goodyear has been providing such aerial views for over 30 years.
Now here's an interesting situation for Lloyd Carr. This is the first time that he's coached as the head coach in this ball game. Your team has played well in the first half. There's 2 minutes and 21 seconds left. Do you let Brian Griese get into a 2-minute offense situation and try to put more points on the board?
Bianca Batuka. Just give it to Tim. It's simple. There's no magic here. Give it to Bianca Batuka. A 19-yard pickup and a first down. The clock stops with 2:16 to play in the half. Kevin Johnson making the tackle for the Buckeyes. Bianca Batuka Listen closely, folks, has 191 yards, and we haven't even finished the first half.
Wow.
Michigan with a 4-point lead. The story of the first half has been Bianca Batuka offensively with runs like that, and the Michigan defense. Mike Vrabel making the tackle for the Buckeyes, along with Matt Bonhouse. Bianca Batuka shaken up on the play.
I'd give him whatever he needs when he comes off. Gatorade, you know, back massage, whatever he needs. Give him whatever he needs because he is carrying this offense right now.
Greasy takes the snap and throws complete to the tight end, Riemersma. They're spotting it at the 45-yard line. That will be a Michigan first down. Dean Blevins, what do you have on the sideline?
Well, Bianca Batuka has had a right calf injury. You know, he got it hurt 2 weeks ago, and they've got a sleeve on it that keeps it warm. He got it hurt a little bit earlier, but they said it was no big deal. He's back down, and it appears it's not the calf that's hurting him, but we'll follow up on that. But the sleeve has helped him.
All right, Dean, 1:28 now to play in the half. 1st and 10 for the Wolverines. Underneath, Greasy finds Ty Streets making his second catch of the afternoon, and it's marked at the 38-yard line. Springs making the tackle. 1:15 to play in the half.
And now they're getting into the hurry-up offense. They're not going back into the huddle as it's nearing 1 minute and a half. This is where Brian Greasy has to take control of the situation, run the offense, and manage the clock. He has 1 timeout left.
Williams in motion. He gets rid of it. Is it going to be grounding?
Yeah, I think that should have been a grounding call because Brian Greasy just threw that ball away.
They're marking it back at the 47-yard line. They're going to say that he was sacked.
That's what they're calling a sack.
The clock stops with 47 seconds to go, and now they're going to mark it at the 39. Greasy under pressure, but the sophomore quarterback has been poised so far. We'll be back.
Mark, what happened on that play was about the worst thing that can happen to you offensively is you take the sack and you have to burn that last time out. Now, Brian Greasy has to get about 15 more yards to get in the range of Remy Hamilton's career long, which would be a 49-yard field goal.
It's 3rd and 11. Greasy to Riemersma, picked off again. Rob Kelly. And that effectively kills any hopes the Wolverines had of scoring on their last possession. Greasy throwing his 2nd interception of the day. Kelly out of Newark, Ohio, making the pick.
Well, Riemersma's right here, the tight end. He's going to run down the middle against cover 2. That means the safeties split the field and take half each. And the ball, you can't throw the ball high against cover 2 when you're throwing it down the middle of the field. You have to put that ball in a line. When the ball goes up in the air, those safeties have a chance to react to it. And the other thing as a quarterback is when you throw an interception, you better be ready for somebody to take a shot at you because that's a free one.
So Ohio State with the ball at the 32. 37 seconds to work with. The screen pass to Eddie George. You can't sleep on Eddie George. No, sir. No napping allowed on Eddie George. Down to the 37-yard line. A 30-yard pickup. 28 seconds to play as they stop the clock. Thompson and Hankins making the tackle for the Wolverines.
So the difference for Ohio State now, Mark, is they have all 3 of their timeouts left, so they can use them very judiciously right now. Bobby Hoying doesn't have to worry about spiking the ball on the ground. They have all 3 timeouts left in 28 seconds.
And Todd, we have an injured Michigan player back at the Ohio State 40-yard line. It is number 96, William Carr, a 6-foot, 269-pound junior who has been so vitally important in their defensive front in their scheme so far today. He's had a good afternoon.
Yeah, it really has. He's been very active up front, and that was really a good call by the Ohio State offensive coaching staff to go with that screen on the first down play. And what you're thinking is there really, if you can bust it and make a big play, then you can try to get into the hurry up and score points. If you don't get a very good play out of it, then maybe you just run the football and go into halftime and make your adjustments. But they're going to get a good play. Now, William Carr's right in the middle of your screen, 96. Let's take a look at him as he's pursuing this play. Looks like he just kind of fell funny on his shoulder or maybe on his elbow, but a big play for Ohio State. And you can see he's favoring that right shoulder. Looks like he just landed kind of funny when he hit the ground.
Yeah, when you're 270 pounds and you land on a joint like that, it's going to hurt just a little bit. Clock running with 22 seconds to play in the half. Hoying looking up top for Terry Glenn, who falls down, and it's incomplete. Had no chance of catching that. The clock stops with 15 seconds to play now in the first half. Woodson on the coverage.
But he had run by Woodson, and Woodson's very lucky that that ball was overthrown, because Charles took a look back at the quarterback, and when he looked back at the quarterback, he stopped moving, and Terry Glenn ran right in behind him. And if that ball would have been thrown a little bit shorter, it would have been a touchdown for Ohio State.
The Buckeyes now, Todd, turning their first time out of the half with 2 remaining now. And right now we're going to take a pause and take a quick look at some other interesting ABC programming.
On that screenplay, and that's why Ohio State now is threatening to score.
It only takes 1 lapse, 1 moment. They have quick strike capability. Sualua in the flat. Nicky Sualua down to the 20-yard line. Knocked out of bounds by Charles Woodson. An 18-yard pickup, 6 seconds to go in the first half. The ball at the 20.
The discouraging thing on that play for Ohio State is that, I mean, that was a prevent defense by Michigan. They only rushed 3 guys, and they still were able to put pressure on Bobby Hoying. So good rush by Trent Zenkowitz forced him to go to his outlet receiver, Sualua. Good job by the Michigan defense.
Dean has something on Carr's injury.
Well, the trainer just told me they're going inside to check out his shoulder. He didn't know how serious it was, and they'll take a look at it and know a little bit later.
All right, Dean. Josh Jackson now in to attempt a field goal for the Buckeyes from 37 yards out. This would be his 3rd of the afternoon. Jackson with an accurate toe, 3 for 3 today, accounting for all of their points. So Ohio State trails now by just a single point. It's 10-9, as John Cooper has a lot riding on this ball game. Eddie George not afraid to tell his teammates to get going. That's exactly what he's doing there. One of the inspirational leaders on offense.
Well, this offensive line for Ohio State has been dominant at times through the season. I mean, you don't average, you know, and gain over 400 yards every game offensively without having a great offensive line. But that first half, the front 7 of Michigan really took the game to that offensive line of Ohio State. And I think they outplayed him, and I'm sure that will be the main subject of conversation when they get in the locker room, taking control again of the line of scrimmage.
If you're Lloyd Carr and Michigan, Todd, you have to feel very good about the fact that you lead going into the locker room at halftime. The offense moving the ball fairly well. 2 turnovers deep in Ohio State territory, really killing some of their scoring opportunities. Mike Malfut going to kick off from the 35-yard line. Back deep, Mercury Hayes and Amani Toomer. The Buckeyes trying to snap a 3-game losing streak here in Ann Arbor. Malfut squibs it down to the 8. Hayes. And he's brought down at the 21-yard line. That's the end of the first 30 minutes of play between Ohio State and Michigan. 2 storied and bitter rivals, writing another chapter of college football history. The Buckeyes trying to keep their record unblemished. They come in 11-0. But right now, Michigan leads by a single. It's 10-9.
Tim Biakabatuka having a terrific day, almost over 200 yards already in this game, 195, averaging 10 yards a carry. Now, as you know, if Ohio State loses that game, Northwestern will go to the
halftime.
Biakabatuka had almost 200 yards, and they dominated in many ways, but you're only down 1.
Well, that's exactly right. He's a great back, but he's not that good. We're not playing as good a defense as we should be playing. We have too many vertical seams in our defense.
What do you tell them right now? You got a national championship potentially out there.
Well, it all depends on how we play in the second half. We got to come out and play a lot better defense in the second half than we played the first half.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you very much.
And reflected in the halftime numbers, Todd Blackledge, is those vertical seams, he was talking about.
Yeah, take a look at the rushing yards now. 213 for Michigan, only 57 for Ohio State, but the great equalizer for the Buckeyes, the 2 interceptions by Brian Griese. That's why this game is a 1-point ball game. Michigan really played much better than Ohio State in that first half.
And you know what? Something that didn't show up on that stat sheet, the numbers, 1 streak or 2 that we've seen. Ran the length of the field at halftime. I've seen everything in this series now. Dean Blevins has more from downstairs. Dean.
Well, good news on the injury front. Ohio State has had no injuries, and Michigan's 2 players who went down will both be back. Biaka Batuka was hit in a sensitive area. When he hurt his calf, that was not an issue. It was okay for him to come back from that, and he will play the second half. And Carr will be back as well. It was a minor shoulder injury, so we're all healthy guys. Should have a great half.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dean. A look at Biaka Batuka on the sidelines. He is a vital part of their offensive attack. A look at the first half possessions for the 2 teams, beginning with Michigan. Started off with that missed field goal, and then a touchdown, punt, field goal, and a couple of picks, which were fairly deep in Ohio State territory. Ohio State, meanwhile, a field goal, punt, field goal, a couple punts, and Josh Jackson has accounted for all 9 of their points this afternoon.
And a good half for Josh Jackson. We mentioned he had only made 2 of his last 7 coming into this ball game, and a perfect afternoon today.
Jay Feely going to kick off for Michigan. And back deep, it's Demetrius Stanley, number 3, and number 24, Sean Springs. Keep in mind that Sean Springs has returned a kick for a touchdown this year already once, 97 yards against Boston College. So he can bust one. The kick away from Springs is going to be Stanley on the run of the 15. Stanley out to the 28-yard line, and let's update our stories with respect to Ohio State, Todd.
Well, they needed to maintain offensive balance. They tried, but the running game was a little bit behind in that first half. Secondly, apply pressure to Griese. They only got the 1 sack, but they were able to force 2 interceptions, and they didn't panic. I mean, they knew that this was going to be a good ball game. They've stayed within themselves. It's interesting now. Let's see what kind of adjustments John Cooper and his staff made during the halftime.
Well, Terry Glenn had 4 receptions in the first half for a total of 72 yards. Almost a silent 72 yards, if there's such a thing.
Got the tight end wide open.
And he throws for Glenn, and he's picked off. Charles Woodson, a guy who was victimized 4 times by Glenn in the first half, comes up with a huge play for the Wolverines.
It's a huge play. But, Mark, this is a case where Bobby Hoying just kind of got locked on his main receiver, Terry Glenn. Now, watch this. The tight end is going to run down the middle. There's a big open area, but he's going to try to hit Terry Glenn. Watch Ricky Dudley, the tight end, get down the middle of the field. Now, he's open right there. But Bobby Hoying goes away from the tight end, and then he underthrows Terry Glenn. And it's a great play by Charles Woodson. Normally when you play cover 2, the corner kind of pulls off, but Charles Woodson ran with him underneath and made the interception. Good play for Woodson.
This is the best starting field position all day for the Wolverines. Biaka Batuka down to the 44-yard line and updating the Michigan stories for the game.
They needed to get off to a good start. 7 points, 125 rushing yards in the first quarter. Possess the football and score. They did a pretty good job holding the football, but only 1 touchdown, and they were not able to create an advantage in the turnovers or kicking in that first half, but they knocked into that in the second half with that interception. Cut it down to a -1 ratio now for the ball game.
Todd Biaka Batuka now at 200 yards rushing for the day. Second down and 5. Oh, gaping hole. Biaka Batuka to the 21. Tackled by Gwynn, but he picks up 23 more.
Watch the blocking on the backside now as this play starts. Watch the left side of the line down at the bottom. Watch these guys block on the backside. Whenever you want to have a cutback run, the backside has to block well. Biaka Batuka started to the right of the line of scrimmage. The backside all held their blocks. They held him for an extra count, and then the cutback. You see that lane? Boy, no white jerseys in there, and John Cooper talked about that, the vertical seams in their defense. There it was again.
Here comes Bianca Batuka, the third consecutive run. And the thing that impresses you about him, he's got that elusiveness, Todd, but he's not afraid to lower his hat and put it on somebody. Kevin Johnson felt the wrath of Bianca Batuka that time as he runs it down to the 17-yard line. It's 2nd down and 5.
And that's the thing, that if a running back is like that, which both of the guys in this game are, that inspires offensive linemen. That makes them want to go out and give extra effort. When they see him lower his shoulder and get that tough 2 or 3 extra yards, they work extra hard.
Here he comes again. It's tea time. Bianca Batuka falls down at the 13-yard line. It's 3rd down and about 2 to go. Damon Moore and Rob Kelly making the tackle. Bianca Batuka came into this contest with 7 games of rushing over 100 yards. He now is 8. A calf injury slowed him a couple of weeks ago, but my man is back on track in a huge way.
Brian Greasy going, check with me at the line of scrimmage in the running game.
He is the running game. Bianca Batuka has the first down. It's going to be close, but appears as though he has the first down. Yes, he does, just shy of the 10-yard line. Mike Vrabel made the stop.
Take a look at tight end Jay Remersma blocking on Vrabel. I mean, hey, folks, this is an ex-quarterback, Remersma. Quarterbacks normally don't block like that, but Jay Remersma has made a great transition in his Michigan career from being a quarterback to a tight end. Mike Vrabel, that time, couldn't get off the block of the tight end.
They give it to Bianca Batuka. He picks up 2 yards. Michigan can get a first down without scoring a touchdown. The nose of the ball starting off at just outside the 10-yard line. Greg Balisari making the tackle along with Kevin Johnson. Bianca Batuka down on the ground. Not a positive sign for the Wolverines. He has been their offense.
Well, he was a little slow getting up the last 2 times that he's carried the football. You can see the good cut. And it didn't look like he was hit, directly on anything, although you can see that the leg got bent under behind him a little bit as the rest of the Ohio State defense got there. And
Balisari seemed to fall on that trail leg. Here's another look at it. You get all those bodies in there, it can be a little bit frightening. Those knees are joints that don't stand up to a lot of pressure, but Bianca Batuka is up. And an appreciative applause from the crowd.
Keep in mind, Mark, now this is 2nd down, and Brian Greasy, the last touchdown that Michigan scored was on a 2nd down play action pass. In fact, of Brian Greasy's 11 touchdown passes this year, 10 of them have come on 2nd down. This is a good time for play action here for the Wolverines.
All right, Todd, it's Floyd and Howard in the backfield. A waggle. Open. Down at the 1-yard line. 1 yard shy. Campbell. A nice waggle. Little bootleg action that time.
Yeah, well, when you're running the football well, the bootleg should work. The good fake by Brian Greasy, he hides the football, and they slip the near side tight end out short, and the other tight end runs the deep route. And Greasy again makes the good decision on the play action. Go to the quickest receiver, get him the football, see if he can get it to the end zone.
It is 3rd down and 1. Greasy over the top, touchdown Michigan. He got in. For the extra point. The Wolverines lead it 17-9. And right now down in Coral Gables, Florida, there's a proud papa by the name of Bob Greasy watching. Michigan leads. Demetrius Stanley will take a knee. The Michigan defense has played well today. One of the leaders, Mr. Jared Irons, and his father's really involved in his football career. Here's what he had to say about his pops.
One thing about my father, he's just a proud father. You know, he's been around football his life. He played for 10 years, and you know, he's seen a lot of football and a lot of great players. You know, my father just he just loves to watch me play. You know, because I guess I remind him of himself when he was playing. We both played linebacker, so I guess he just can't help but to be proud and want the best for me.
He is as impressive a student athlete as I've seen all year. A sports marketing major, probably end up playing in the NFL along with this guy here, Eddie George, out to the 29-yard line. Charles Woodson making the tackle on George, gaining about 9 yards. It'll be second down and 1 to go. We saw Eddie George firing up the troops, Todd, towards the end of the first half. They need him.
Well, he's been a leader all year. I mean, he has just had an outstanding season. He's made great improvement between his junior and senior season. And when he spoke, you could tell those guys were listening.
And right now, his game is doing the talking. Eddie George out to the 33-yard line, an Ohio State first down. The tackle made by William Carr and Clint Copenhagen. George now running the ball 15 times today for a total of 82 yards. Downstairs to Dean Blevins.
All right, I'm with Gerald Irons and his wife Myrna. Well, I don't think you're going to be able to see us, but how about your kids? He playing well?
Oh, he's playing great. We're real proud of Jared. The defense is playing strong and the offense is playing great. We're real proud of him.
All right, we're going to go back. I want to hear about something you're doing in just a second.
There's a look at the star middle linebacker for the Wolverines. Play fake by Hoying. Knocked away nicely, but there's a flag on the play.
The flag was thrown right away, Mark, so it's either going to be an illegal motion against Ohio State or offsides by Michigan lining up in the neutral zone. One of those two penalties because it was thrown before the snap.
It's against the Wolverines.
I think it's going to be that somebody from Michigan lined up in the neutral zone because I didn't see anybody jump up on the top. David Bowens just lined up across the line of scrimmage.
And a look at Gary Barnett's reaction to the near interception.
Boy, that's a tough spot for him to be in, too, because he wants to keep his composure and be respectful of both coaches and both teams, but at the same time, you know he's going crazy inside.
There's Eddie George again, patiently looking for a hole out to the 46-yard line, and back down to Dean.
All right, we were talking a minute ago with the Irons. Myrna Irons, the mother. Now, you do something very unique, a newsletter about your son.
Yes, Jared has so many family and friends and fans that we give out this newsletter and mail it out to everyone. It gives him an update of all his tackles, his games, how's he doing, and everything. It's just great.
All right, congratulations, guys. Enjoy the game.
Thank you, Dean. We're excited. We're having fun. This is go blue.
I wonder if Irons is on the World Wide Web. Eddie George. Yeah, that's the guy we're talking about. Irons made the initial hit. He might have heard his dad from the sidelines. Jared Irons.
Take a look at Jared Irons now. Nobody blocked him, and you want to try to get somebody on him. He's such an active linebacker, and he makes so many tackles that you don't want to leave him unaccounted for if you're running that sweep play to the weak side. Jared Irons, if nobody blocks him, he's going to make a tackle every time.
Had 13 of them, Todd, last week against Penn State. Eddie George today being overshadowed by Bianca Batuka.
He's starting to pick it up, though, now. He only had 69 and a half.
They come with the blitz. And Eddie George was held up at the line of scrimmage by Jason Horn, number 94. Michigan coming on the linebacker blitz that time and bringing everything.
Well, Mark, when you run a screen as an offense, you want to invite the rush to come to you. But what happened bad for Ohio State here was that Jason Horn read the screen and ran right out there and covered Eddie George. I mean, you want the rush to come to you so you can just dunk it over their heads to the back. But Jason Horn read the play perfectly, and Hoying had to throw the ball away.
All right, Todd, 3rd down and 9. Terry Glenn split wide to the bottom of your screen. He's lined up on Charles Woodson. Woodson got an interception on Ohio State's last possession. They come underneath to Ricky Dudley. Dudley is short of the first down at the 47-yard line. Jarrett Irons making his 6th tackle of the afternoon.
Well, this is a good decision by Bobby Hoying of where to go with the football, because they rolled up the coverage on both wide receivers. They got it to Dudley thinking he could make one guy miss. Unfortunately for Dudley, that one guy happened to be Jarrett Irons. He wasn't going anywhere.
And it's not like Ricky Dudley can't make people miss. He's a talented athlete at 6'7". Bartholomew in for his 4th punt of the day. Might be aiming for the Coffin corner here. He has 10 inside the 20 this year. And this one will be down at the 15-yard line. 7:45 to play in the 3rd period. Michigan leading 17-9. Ann Arbor, the athletic complex there to your left. Chrysler Arena just off to the left of the big house. Play fake. Brian Greasy going to try and get some to Mercury Hayes, incomplete. Trying to stretch the defense a bit there, Todd.
Well, it was maximum protection. They had 2 tight ends in. They kept them both in to block, and it was basically a 2-man route. They had Mercury Hayes going deep, and they had Amani Tuner running the out. But you could see 7 blockers in there giving Brian Greasy maximum protection to go ahead and take a shot down the field.
Bianca Batuka, meanwhile, back in the game. His meter at 236 and counting. A flag down on the play, thrown at the interior line. The tackle on the play made by Kevin Johnson for the Buckeyes, the 6'2" junior.
Should be a holding. Should be a holding on Zach Adami, the left guard for Michigan, number 68, I think is who they got on that hold, blocking against Luke Fickle. Here's Adami right here, the left guard, and he's going to get caught holding on Luke Fickle, the nose guard, as they run this draw. You can see the left arm went around him, kind of a takedown by Adami.
After distance to the goal, replay, 2nd down.
Ohio State's defense, and last year they had a lot of sacks and not many interceptions, and this year the sacks are down, but the interceptions are up, and that's been kind of the trade-off for this Ohio State defense. Not as many sacks, but they've gotten big plays by their secondary.
Clarence Williams now in for Bianca Batuka. He gets the call. And that's why the Michigan coaches are high on that student athlete. Clarence Williams out of Detroit, a freshman, 170 pounds, gained 16 yards, close to a 1st down. Kelly making the tackle.
Again, just great interior blocking. Adami came back and made up for the holding call. He got a super block on Matt Bonhouse that time, and that opened the hole for Clarence Williams, who fell on the football at the end of the play.
Todd, 3rd down and 1. Now look at Michigan's conversion so far.
They're pretty good when they can keep it in manageable yardage situations.
Bianca Batuka's not going to get it. That's what you call a Buckeye defensive stand. Kevin Johnson and Matt Finkus both on the stop.
Short yardage offense is all about leverage. I mean, whoever wins the leverage battle wins the play on short yardage and goal line. Watch the top of the screen. Watch the penetration they get. They get lower than the Michigan blockers. And then from the backside, Finkus is able to run down the line of scrimmage and pull the tailback back behind the line. Good play by Matt Finkus. Good penetration on the front side.
Interesting thing about Finkus, he and Vrabel have a friendly competition between the two of them to see who gets the most tackles for losses and sacks. This is Demetrius Stanley. A lot of east-west running, but not much happening north-south.
5-50. That to play cornerback, you have to have two things: great confidence and bad memory. I mean, if you don't have those two things, you're going to get moved to a different position before too long, because you're going to be out on an island very often in this game.
A lot riding on this game for the Buckeyes. A trip to Pasadena for the first time since 1984, plus some other. The echoes of past and present players tangible in the air here in Ann Arbor as we begin the fourth quarter of play. Michigan leads by 2. Bianca Batuka on 2nd and 5 has another Michigan first down. As we look at the numbers after 3 periods of play, Todd.
Well, the running game for Michigan has been the story. 336 yards, add about 6 yards to that, and Tim Biakabatuka has 300 of that. I mean, he just went over 300 yards with that run. Tim Biakabatuka has taken the game on his shoulders, and Michigan is riding him right now to the end zone again.
1st and 10. Here he is again. Down to the 13-yard line. Downstairs to Dean Blevins.
Well, guys, we talked in the open about the field being a little bit soft and the coaches expecting more north and south running. That is exactly what we've seen from Biakabatuka. I mean, it's amazing that the yardage he's gobbled up, but most of it has been up and down. It's been north and south, not the sideways stuff.
Yeah, you know, Dean, the thing is, too, is he's got such a quick burst that once he gets into that hole and he has his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, he is really quick going north and south. You're exactly right.
He's fast, strong, and I like his strength, too. Unbelievable.
302. That's his total today. Flags down. Here's Biakabatuka. Down to the 11-yard line on 2nd and 8.
That'll be offsides on Ohio State. I think a good job by the center, Rod Payne. Did the same thing that Ohio State center did early in the ball game. When he felt Ohio State into the neutral zone, he snapped the ball. And the only thing, Brian Greasy has to make sure that he's ready to take that snap before the actual count.
Here's the call.
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty. It's still 2nd down.
Take a look at Rod Payne. He's going to feel the guys coming off sides, and he's going to snap the ball. As soon as he feels them in the neutral zone, he snaps it. And Brian Greasy, I know from experience, if you're not ready for that snap, that's a great way to break a finger. I mean, you have to be ready to take a snap at any time.
Todd, earlier, Payne got up over the ball, called a timeout, which saved them a penalty as well. Smart play today by him. Biakabatuka brought down nicely at the 9-yard line by that Ohio State front 4.
Nice play by Vrabel. He slipped in there first and got an arm around the ankle of Biakabatuka and tripped him up. Watch Vrabel. Watch his quickness coming off the ball. He's going to slip right underneath the block of the pulling guard and just get an arm around the ankle of Biakabatuka.
Vrabel told that he shouldn't play football anymore back in high school because of a couple of stress fractures in his spine, but he found a good doctor, which gave him the okay.
8-man front for Ohio State.
2 tights, the toss to Williams. Touchdown, Michigan. And a look at what's happening at Northwestern. Clarence Williams, the freshman.
This play's made by quickness. 8 men in the box for Ohio State anticipating an inside run, but the speed of Clarence Williams just got to the hole so quickly, even though there were 8 defenders in there, they couldn't make a stop on the run.
Hamilton with the extra point. Michigan leading 24-15, courtesy of this run by the freshman who grew up less than an hour from here, Clarence Williams. We'll be right back.
Take a look at big left tackle John Runyon. Watch the block he gets on Ryan Miller. This is the key block in the play. Watch him take Ryan Miller and just run him right out of the hole and allow Clarence Williams to just turn his shoulders square and take it right to the end zone. Great block by the left tackle Runyon.
Man, he ran Miller onto the Ohio State bench almost. Ohio State with an eye on Pasadena still. Demetrius Stanley rocked, had his world rocked at the 21-yard line.
And downstairs to Dean Blevins.
Guys are behind the Ohio State bench, and Bobby Hoying knows what he has in front of him. Down 9, 13 minutes to go. He went up to each of his teammates offensively and talked to each one of them, telling them that this was the time to do it. There's no more time to waste. We'll see if they can get it done.
The Buckeyes trying to go to Pasadena for the first time since 1984. Bobby Hoying left with the job to lead them there.
He's 35-1 as a starter. I mean, if I wanted anybody to lead me right now, it'd probably be Bobby Hoying.
Under 13 minutes to play. Hoying incomplete to Terry Glenn. Missing by inches.
See, Terry Glenn made some catches early. He had 4 catches in the first half, but now they've changed the coverage. They're giving Woodson a little help on the underneath, and they're playing a little more cover two. And Terry Glenn just slipped as he tried to make his way back to the football. Terry Glenn has kind of been effectively taken out of the ball game by the Michigan defense now. He hurt him early, and they've adjusted, and he has not been a real factor, but there's still a lot of time left.
A big part of that phasing him out has been accountable to Woodson. Incomplete, intended for Eddie George. To the near sideline. It'll be 3rd down and 10 now for Ohio State. At their own 20-yard line. Bobby Hoying, a finalist for the Johnny Unitas Award, and one of the leading candidates for the Davey O'Brien Award as well. Look at what Bobby Hoying has done, passing the ball on 3rd down today. 3rd down and 10 right now. George in the backfield, ace formation.
Took too much time, Mark. I mean, Michigan on 3rd down, they give you a lot of junky looks. I mean, they're going to blitz safeties and drop linemen out, and Bobby Hoying got caught
Dead
looking.
ball, delay of game, offense.
Todd, I'm not so sure. That almost seems inexcusable at this juncture of the game.
Well, it does, but at the same time, I mean, Michigan is very unorthodox on 3rd down. I mean, they line up and they show you a lot of different things, and Bobby Hoying wanting to make sure that everyone was on the same page just kind of lost sight of the clock. And yes, it's a mistake that a senior probably shouldn't make, but credit has to go somewhat to the Michigan defense and their ability to confuse and disguise.
3rd down, 15 to go now. Sualua, the lone back. Hoying tries to do the old shuffle pass to Sualua, and it falls short. The Z-man, Trent Zenkowitz, pressuring Hoying.
And the big difference between those 2 3rd down plays, Mark, the play before they were going to blitz and bring pressure. When it was 3rd and 15, they could play zone behind it and just rush 4. And Trent Zenkowitz just made a great move, a spin move on Jamie Sumner, and got pressure on Hoying.
3 plays and 3 incompletions thrown that time by Bobby Hoying. Bartholomew punting in the shadows of his own goalpost. Gets off a nice high punt, which drives Toomer back to the 33, where he calls for a fair catch. Michigan leading by 9. We'll be right back. Thing, Todd Blackledge. Looking for just a little bit of help.
Boy, they've had a great season, that team, and he has done a terrific job coaching that Northwestern football team.
Bianca Batuka, who has been the story of the day.
Wow.
Brought down at the 37-yard line, picks up about 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6. Anthony Gwynn making the tackle for Ohio State. He now has run it 33 times, Bianca Batuka, for 305 yards. So look at the total yardage today. Discrepancy, a huge one at that, between Michigan and Ohio State.
You know what else is impressive to me about this, Mark, is that based on last week, Michigan had a much tougher week physically. They played Penn State on the road and had to go 4 quarters. Ohio State blew Indiana out at home.
Bianca Batuka cannot elude a couple of them. Brable up front. Coming up next, 3rd and 7. Bootleg action. Knocked loose nicely from Mark Campbell. Kevin Johnson with a nice stick. Back to John Saunders in New York. Wolverines punting from their own 22-yard line. There's Ferris. Buckeyes come after it, don't get there though. This will take a fortuitous bounce for the Wolverines down to the 28-yard line. Ohio State 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. Play fake. My goodness. I thought I had 20/20 vision. I thought I saw Terry Glenn drop that one, Todd.
Well, he's had a rough second half here, and part of it is because Michigan has effectively kind of taken him out of the Ohio State offense. He's just not in the rhythm right now. He's not in the flow of the game, and this is just a concentration breakdown by Terry Glenn. He's had a couple like this today. The ball is well thrown by Hoying, and he just doesn't concentrate. And that happens to a good receiver who's just not involved in the game. If you take a look at Bobby Hoying, a rough half for him this second half, but that one was not his fault.
2nd and 10. Hoying has missed 5 of his last 6 passing attempts. Incomplete. Make that 6 of his last 7 passing attempts have gone awry. Ricky Dudley, a big target at 6'7", former starter on the basketball team where he averaged 13 points a game. Todd, he said that he came out for football just because he wanted to experience Ohio State football as opposed to basketball after a successful career there.
Well, he's done more than experience it. I mean, he's been a great addition to this offense and has that ability to run and create problems in the middle of the defense.
3rd and 10. Time to get with the program. And there's Ricky Dudley, and it's incomplete. Knocked loose by Chuck Winters, the free safety. I'm telling you, the story of this afternoon has been this Michigan defense. You can't say it enough times.
Michigan defensive line and the Michigan offensive line. That has really dictated this ball game. Again, excellent pressure on the inside by the front 4 of Michigan. Flushed Bobby Hoying out of the pocket, and all he could do is try to make a desperate throw back to the middle of the field to Dudley. Great pressure up front by Michigan.
To talk about the offensive and defensive lines, it's a type of football that would make Bo Schembechler real proud, and I know that he's watching here today. Great punt by Bartholomew. Toomer at the 40. Toomer out to the 46. 6 yards on the return after a 46-yard punt. Next Saturday on ABC Sports, a college football trip.
Last 3 ball games for Ohio State against Minnesota, Illinois, and Indiana, they averaged 550 yards offense. Today, only 288.
Chris Floyd caught on 1st and 10 after the 47-yard line. The clock running with 10:27 to play, becoming a small enemy now of the Buckeyes.
And this is where Brian Griese really has to kind of take control of the football game. I mean, the one memory I have that's most strongly in my mind about his dad, Bob Griese, was just he was the consummate field general. When the game was on the line, he was always cool and collected. In the 4th quarter, he just managed the clock and managed the offense, and that's what Brian Griese has to do now for Michigan.
A 3 wide receiver set on 2nd down. Williams, a gaping hole. Clarence Williams playing in front of a lot of his neighbors here today with just the right flavor. 15 yards and a Michigan 1st down.
Boy, John Runyon is really having a great ball game at left tackle. Everybody talks about Orlando Pace from Ohio State, but John Runyon is really playing well. Here he is again, the left tackle. Watch the block he gets on the linebacker, Kevin Johnson. Just takes him right out of the play. And Clarence Williams, again, has a lot of open field in front of him, and he gets those shoulders squared. John Runyon really playing a super game for Michigan.
The handoff is to Williams again. Stopped at the 40-yard line, and the young Griese at quarterback has drawn a lot of respect from the people up front on the offensive line. Here's what Marinero had to say about it.
I'd characterize him as a quiet, strong leader. He's not very vocal. He'll call the play, and if he doesn't like something, he'll let you know. Or that's the kind of guy he is. But he's never been rah-rah, and you know he's confident in himself, and he can get the job done.
And right now it is Williams' turn to get the job done. Pushed out of bounds at the 43-yard line. And Biakabutuka getting a breather on the sideline. Todd, it says a lot about Michigan's depth at the tailback position, where you can take out Biakabutuka and not lose much with Williams.
Well, I think two things are happening here. One, they have a lot of confidence in Clarence Williams. And two, Biakabutuka, they're just resting him for the stretch run. They want to let him get some freshness back in his legs for the last drive in the fourth quarter when they need to grind it out and make some first downs to win the football game. So they're letting him rest and running some of the other guys right now.
Yeah, Williams comes out. In comes Chris Howard, number 8. Streets in motion. 3rd and 8. Greasy. Completion. Reamersma. Out of bounds at the 3, make that the 1-yard line. Brian Greasy with cool and a palm and field leadership. 35 yards to Reamersma. And in Northwestern, they love it, as does their head coach, Gary Barnett.
Excellent job by Brian Greasy reading the blitz. Ohio State knowing that they have to kind of take some chances. Here's Reamersma. He's going to come on the crossing route, and it's a blitz by Ohio State. Quarterback's going to read the blitz, so he knows his hot receiver is the tight end on the crossing route, and he makes the nice throw and lets Reamersma catch it and keep running after the catch.
Williams stopped up at the 2-yard line. They turned it inside, flushed it out, and he was brought down to the 3. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
That's Bill Young, the defensive coordinator for Ohio State, and I'm sure he is just shell-shocked in the game today. I mean, he did not expect Michigan offensively to be able to come in and do this to his defense. And Tim Biakabutuka now coming back into the ball game, so he got a little bit of a rest on the sidelines, and Clarence Williams was a more than adequate replacement running the football for him.
Biakabutuka with fresh legs and a big heart, and 8:03 to play.
Watch play action here, though. Bring Biakabutuka in and still throw the football.
2nd and goal. They give it to him, touchdown.
Wow.
In Ann Arbor, this is how they do it. Biakabutuka, 306 yards rushing. And styling and profiling just a little bit.
Watch the burst by Tim Biakabutuka. He got a little rest on the sideline. Watch how quickly he hits this hole. Right into the end zone. And Michigan's offensive line has just played an outstanding ball game today.
Biakabutuka speaks 4 different languages. And his game is speaking loud and clear. As they would say on St. Catherine Street in Montreal, c'est bon. We'll be right back.
Here's what you were talking about. Brian Greasy goes to Jay Reamersma, and he hauls it in down the sidelines, gets it down inside the 5-yard line, and Tim Biakabutuka, this man once again punches it across. He has 306 yards on this game against a team
down by Weathers. And another look at that touchdown.
This has been a dominant performance by the offensive line of Michigan. Watch John Runyon again. Watch the block he's going to get on Luke Fickell. Now, Fickell is a 260-pound guy. He's not a small guy, but watch Runyon take him and drive him about 4 yards into the end zone, and Tim Biakabutuka just runs right into that vacated area. A great block by John Runyon, and both offense and defensive lines of Michigan have really dominated the action today.
Well, it's about time now for Ohio State. On the backfield in the flat, Tualua still on his feet. It usually takes about 5 guys to bring him down, and he's brought down at the 32-yard line. 7:34 to play in the ball game. The clock now the enemy of Ohio State. Look at that. 7 plays in the fourth quarter, 6 incompletions. Want to remind you, back in 1993, the Buckeyes met Michigan. They came in undefeated, needed to win to go to the Rose Bowl, and they were defeated. Hoying incomplete at the 30. He tried to find Tualua again. Both Bo Schembechler and Gary Moeller defeated Ohio State in their first games as head coaches as well.
Mark, what Michigan's going to do right now is they're not necessarily going to go into a prevent defense, but they're going to just try to make Ohio State use a lot of clock and give up some underneath completions, because right now, winning by 16, Ohio State has to go for the win, so they need 3 scores. Even 2 touchdowns with 2 extra points ties it, but a tie still sends Northwestern to the Rose Bowl, not Ohio State, so they need 3 scores to win the ball game.
You can hear the cheers so far from Chicago. Su'Alua has the first down. Brought down to the 43-yard line. Stops the clock with 7:05 to play. A 10-yard pickup for the big fullback from California. Thompson and Woodson knocked him out of bounds. And Su'Alua looks awful fatigued right now.
We did the right thing, and what Bobby Hoying has to tell the rest of the Ohio State team in the offensive huddle now is, hey, we've got to pick up our tempo, and we're going to get as much yardage as we can, but let's get out of bounds. Let's not needlessly get tackled in the field of play and have to use a timeout or burn the clock. Get as much yardage as you can, get out of bounds, and let's try to get some quick scores.
7:05, 1st and 10. They come on the blitz. A middle screen for Eddie George is snuffed after a 2-yard gain by William Carr. And William Carr was injured earlier, back in the ball game. Look at Bo Schembechler. Hot about something. Hoying, complete to Buster Tillman. Tillman out of bounds to the 33-yard line. Another first down, his first catch of the game. 6:46 to play. Jarrett Irons making the tackle. What do you think Bo was upset about?
I don't know. He's still coaching, though. He's coaching every game, and really, that was a good play by William Carr, reading the screen. William Carr made a nice play on the screen, and I don't know. Bo may have thought he should have tackled him behind the line of scrimmage instead of 1 yard beyond it.
I can feel the heat this far down. 6:46 left in the ball game. Ohio State trailing by 16. Hoying looking for Tillman. Now he takes off.
Out of bounds.
Has the first down at the 18, make that 19-yard line. He picks up 14. Stops the clock with 6:38 to play.
Nice job by Bobby Hoying. Bobby Hoying showing a little speed there, too, outrunning Rashid Simmons to the sideline. Got the first down and got out of bounds. And you look at Bobby Hoying's eyes, and, Mark, you see a guy that still has a lot of confidence, even though his team is down by 16 points. I mean, he has had a terrific career, 30 wins in his career as a starter, so there's no fear in his eyes. He still believes he can bring his team back for the win.
There's still plenty of time, although they've got to be very efficient at this point. On the slant, touchdown Tillman. Don't go anywhere. 19 yards on the strike, and yes, Todd, you're right. He is confident. The look is still in his eyes. They like that play, that slant.
Take a look at Tillman. Now, a lot of times coverage rolls to Terry Glenn, which leaves single coverage on the backside, and Buster Tillman, man-to-man coverage, working against Woodrow Hankins, and a good throw by Bobby Hoying.
Tillman, a receiver who has often been overlooked this year because of the success of Terry Glenn. Had a great year last season, but Tillman has remained a big team player. And it's 31-21. They're going for 2. To Eddie George, and they convert on it. It's 31-23. They are just a 2-point converted touchdown away from tying this game, and they only used up 122 on that last drive.
They had to go for 2, Mark, because they, as we mentioned, they need to score 3 times. Now, this is a pretty tricky little play. They tried to run on the last 2 points. Here's Eddie George. They brought him in motion, and they're going to fake the run to Su'Alua and then just throw the ball. Good job by Bobby Hoying faking the run. That draws the defense in, and then the quick raise up and throw by Bobby Hoying. And good catch on the other end by Eddie George. They tried to run the first time they went for 2. This time they faked the run. And a quick play-action pass and a great catch in traffic by Eddie George.
Not surprised by who they're going to. They go with the juniors and the seniors. Time for Minning. Stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report featuring scores and highlights from across the country, and that phone call is probably a pretty good one right now for Bobby Hoying. Came into the game with 55 career touchdown passes.
You know, this is a crazy game. Lloyd Carr sitting there. His team, Michigan, has run for a season high 373 yards rushing. But if they can't run the football here, if they can't run the football in this drive and chew some clock up, Ohio State's going to be right back in business again. They must run the football well in this drive.
Todd, Michigan has its good hands team up front, looking for the onside kick. Toomer and Hayes.
A lot of time left. 6 minutes and 30 seconds left. I wouldn't expect Ohio State to onside kick.
This is going to be Biaka Batuka at the 8. And he makes it out to the 20-yard line. There's one guy who's going to be sore and tired and will sleep well tonight.
Yeah, but he'll have about a month before he has to play another football game. So, I mean, he'll have plenty of time to rest and heal up. But they need him right now. I mean, this is the time in the game.
Back to pass, spots Buster Tillman, touchdown. They go for the 2-point conversion. Eddie George out of the backfield catches the pass. They have the 2 points, and now within 8, 31-23. Keith.
Who has stayed fairly calm and poised in the late goings of the game. He hands it off to Williams. Williams brought down at the 18-yard line. Each team with 3 timeouts remaining. The clock running with 6:17 to play. Vrabel in on the tackle.
Now this is what Brian Griese, the other thing he needs to do right now, and this is not an easy thing to do. You want to use up as much clock as you can, but you don't want your offensive team to lose its tempo and lose its rhythm in coming off the ball. So you want to take some time off the play clock, but you don't want to get complacent offensively. There's a fine line that he has to walk right now.
Williams out of the eye. Movement up front. It appeared that Ohio State's interior lineman jumped offside, but we'll wait for the definitive call from the official.
I think you're exactly right, Mark, and I think Rod Payne, the center, again, was the guy who caught it and snapped the ball early, drawing the 5-yard penalty.
Offside, defense, 5-yard penalty, replay, 2nd down.
Todd, I'm glad you pointed out the smart play of Payne, because the only time that centers get attention is when they, throw back a high snap over the punter's head.
Well, he's made 3 great moves today. One was calling a timeout when the play clock was running down, and 2 times he's done that. Snapped the ball when he's spelled Ohio State offsides. And the great thing about that penalty is it wipes out the negative play on 1st down. Now they're 2nd down and 6, just like they had a 4-yard run on 1st down.
Biaka Batuka and Floyd working out of the eye.
There it is again. Offsides again.
Biaka Batuka out to the 32-yard line with a Michigan 1st down.
See, part of what's happening, Mark, is that Ohio State is trying to jump into an 8-man front. They're trying to jump into an 8-man front as the snap count is going. That's what's happening, and they're kind of jumpy. Take a look now up front. Ohio State is trying to move into an 8-man front late. It's a long snap count by Ohio State or by Michigan, and 2 plays in a row now. The center has alertly snapped the ball when he spelled Ohio State offside.
Picture tells the story. 1st down and 10 to go.
See, now would be a good time for Michigan to go on a quick count. They've got them on the long count, 2 plays in a row. Just line up, go on a quick count, and try to catch them on their heels now.
5:08 to play. Biaka Batuka brought down right at the line of scrimmage at the 32-yard line. I'll look at the 1st down efficiency and what they've done on 1st down today. 6.2 per pop on 1st down is pretty healthy, Tom.
It really is. I mean, this has been an outstanding effort, particularly up front by the offensive line and Tim Biaka Batuka. And this is a good Ohio State defense. I mean, they were the 3rd-ranked defense in the Big Ten coming into this ball game, only giving up 315 yards a game. Tim Biaka Batuka almost has that by himself. 2 yards shy of it at 313.
This is going to be the freshman Williams. Breaks 2 tackles. Boy, maybe got a yard. Tough running.
Not only did he break the 2 tackles, but as a freshman makes the good move to stay in bounds and keep the clock running. I mean, he was running hard to the sideline, and at the last minute dove forward to keep the ball in play and keep the clock running. Good move by Clarence Williams.
Lloyd Carr with a meticulous and wise game plan that has been executed to perfection so far this afternoon.
Credit Fred Jackson also. First-year offensive coordinator for the University of Michigan. It's kind of been an up-and-down year for him, but he has really put together a good plan today.
Biakabatuka back in the game. The reverse to Mercury Hayes. He got a block from the quarterback, Greasy. First down, Wolverines at the 45-yard line. Pressing the right buttons and pulling the right strings at just the right time, Todd.
What a terrific call from Fred Jackson. This is the second reverse they've run, and both of them have been effective. They faked the counter trap. I mean, this is a gutsy call. I mean, it's tough to call a reverse where 2 guys are going to handle the ball on a 3rd and 9 play late in the game. They made the call, and then it was well executed. Everybody was in position. A great call and great execution by Michigan.
You know what I like about that play? Brian Greasy threw a nice block on that. As we look at the brain trust on the sidelines, and a bit of a smile creeping across the face of Lloyd Carr. That's Ed Davis, the senior, playing his final home game here at Michigan Stadium. Another Michigan product brought down by Matt Bonhouse. Michigan leading with 2:50 to play, and John Cooper hoping to slow that clock down just a little bit.
I'm still, what a great call on the 3rd down going to reverse. I mean, when you're in this part of the game, the thing you have to do is you've got to keep the clock going and you've got to make first downs. And Ohio State had him in a great situation at 3rd and 9, and they picked up the first down with the reverse. Just terrific call and great execution.
2nd down and 7. The toss to Davis. Couldn't get through the hole, and he's brought down by the shoestrings at the 49 by Mike Vrabel.
And Ohio State's using one of their timeouts now. 2 minutes and 18 seconds left in the ball game. They've got to use their first timeout.
John Cooper pleading his case to the officials. His team trailing by 8. They need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie. Meanwhile, folks, if you listen closely, listen real closely, you can hear the cheers from Evanston. Back here, John, 31-23 with 2:18 to play. Michigan with the ball. 3rd and 6. Greasy sacked back at the 37-yard line. That's the play that they needle, and that is their MVP today. The genuine Chevrolet MVPs of the game are Mike Vrabel from Ohio State and Tim Biakabatuka from Michigan. Chevy, in its 25th year, donating $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund. Mike Vrabel, a guy who was told back in high school that he shouldn't play football because of a spinal condition. But he found Dr. Tucker of the Cleveland Browns, who said okay.
Watch Vrabel. Now, Michigan has 2 guys there to block him. They have the fullback, Chris Floyd, and they also have the guard, Adamy, pulling out to block him, but he just uses his quickness. He reads the play and then uses his quickness to get in there for the sack. That's a great individual effort by Mike Vrabel.
Todd, they just added 3 seconds back on the clock. So there are 2 minutes and 8 seconds to play. And a man who underwent thumb surgery on his throwing hand a little while ago, Scott Drysbach, the starting quarterback at the beginning of the year for the Wolverines. Peristeris to punt from his own 23. Buckeyes are going to get one more shot. A shallow kick, and Demetrius Stanley takes it on the fly, diving to make the catch. Next Saturday, ABC Sports. Afternoon it's been for college football, Todd.
Mark, I'll tell you what, if somebody would have ever told us that it would have been this nice on November 25th here in Ann Arbor, I would have said you were crazy. But beautiful day for college football.
Skins game coming up next, but we've got 2:01 to play. A 64-yard shy from keeping the dream alive. Incomplete, right through the hands of the usually dependable Ricky Dudley.
Mark, what Michigan was able to do in that last offensive drive, they didn't score any points. They didn't even cross the 50-yard line, but they were able to eat up 4 minutes and 32 seconds off the clock, leaving Ohio State with under 2 minutes now, and they've got to score twice. A touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie it at 31 won't do them any good. It still won't send them to the Rose Bowl. Northwestern would have the better overall conference record in that case.
Todd Terry Glenn does not have any catches in this half. Su'Alua hauls in this one. Su'Alua, is he out of bounds? No, the clock keeps running. 1:46 to play. Clarence Thompson chopping him down. You can't blame Bobby Hoying for Ohio State's lack of success today as he stops the clock with 1:32 to play. He's had a lot of passes dropped on him. Back to John Saunders now in New York.
Well, Mark, we just want to do a comparison of the top 2 candidates for the Heisman Trophy and what they did today and yesterday. Today for Eddie George, over 100 yards again as expected. Tommy Frazier, just a workmanlike day yesterday, 128 yards through the air and 35 yards on the ground. Those are the favorites right now. Of course, there's still others. Balloting still coming in. Mark.
Todd, you know, I think that if Ohio State loses here, you might see some votes sway to Tommy Frazier.
I think if George would have had those numbers and a winning effort, he would have won the Heisman Trophy.
4th and 3 for the Buckeyes. Last chance. They're still alive. Buster Tillman making the reception in Michigan's half of the field at the 49. The clock stops with 1:26 to play, and Gary Barnett is pacing like an expectant father.
Well, again, I mean, you know, it's working out for him, it appears, but that's a tough situation to not be able to decide it yourself and just sit there and have to watch it happen.
Hoying finds Dudley complete at the 34. Another first down. They stop the clock with 1:19 to play. A 16-yard pickup. Bobby Hoying has been a picture of poise. He's kept his head here in the last quarter.
Yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing out there. He's played a lot of football games for this Ohio State offense, and the great thing about college football is in terms of time management, the clock stops for a first down in order to reset the chains. In pro football, it doesn't stop for a first down, so that enables a quarterback to run his team up to the line of scrimmage and get everybody set. You can really get a lot more plays in that amount of time than you can in pro football. And Bobby Hoying executing the 2-minute drill very well.
Second down. Going up top for Tillman, and he can't get there. Good coverage by number 2, Charles Woodson. And you can't say enough about Woodson here in the second half. I mean, you could have put barbecue sauce on him in the first half, the way that Terry Glenn baked him.
Well, Charles Woodson, this has got to be a huge game for him. Not only is he a freshman, but he's an Ohio kid. He's from Fremont, Ohio, played at Ross High School, and was Ohio's Mr. Football in Division I last year. I mean, he was a great prospect coming out of the state of Ohio. He was a tailback, really, the offensive player of the year in Ohio as a tailback, starting at corner now for the University of Michigan.
3rd and 10, split backs. Hoying, incomplete. Stops the clock with 1:04 to play, intended for D. Miller. And it has come down to another 4th down conversion for the Ohio State offense. Their picture-perfect dream season in jeopardy of dying right here, right now.
I am very impressed with the Michigan effort today, coming off of that tough and physical loss to Penn State. I thought fatigue would get to Michigan in this ball game, but they have not been been worn down by Ohio State. They have dominated the game on both sides of the ball, and I did not expect it. I thought Ohio State would be the better rested team coming off of Indiana.
Timeout on the field called by Michigan. Let's go to Northwestern with Coach Barnett and John Spagnuolo.
Okay, Mark, things are looking up here, I have to say, in Evanston. And tell me, Coach, how you feel right now? Can you relax yet?
Not yet. I just want to run that clock as fast as we can run it.
If he's been running away from me all game, I think he thinks I'm his bad omen here today. But things are really looking good here. The team's excited, and I guess you have to start making preparations for USC.
Well, we're going to change that flight plan from Florida to California. It looks like a chance of doing that. But I appreciate you telling me they had to score twice here in order to win.
I think a good shot. Thank you. I'll tell you, I've been telling him the permutations all day long today, and I think he knows every possible possibility here. So we're going to get back here a little bit later on, and we'll talk about the Rose Bowl. Okay, Mark, back to you.
Okay, still 1:04 to play. Back to John Saunders in New York. We don't want you to miss a single moment in another chapter of this fantastic rivalry. 4th down, 10 to go at the 34. Terry Glenn, can he get it? Picked off. Woodson. Give Woodson some love. Give it to him now. The reaction at Northwestern. Northwestern apparently headed to the Rose Bowl. A scene of jubilation in Evanston, Illinois, and a scene of agony for the Buckeyes here in Ann Arbor. A season made by the Wolverines and a season destroyed by the Buckeyes.
That's a great football player right there, Tim Biakabatuka.
The Wolverines will, in all likelihood, we're told, accept a bid to one of 3 different bowls. But in many ways, this was a bowl game for them.
Mark, you mentioned it in the beginning. Bo Schembechler won his first head coaching game against Ohio State, as did Gary Moeller, and now Lloyd Carr can say the same thing as the head man at Michigan.
Lloyd Carr recently named head coach, not interim head coach, but head coach. And it was well received around Ann Arbor. The players celebrated. They gave each other high fives. They said he was the man to lead them the rest of the way. And he's done just that today. The Wolverines spoil Ohio State's perfect season. Michigan winning 31-23. And they're talking roses at Northwestern.
I can't.
All right, Dean. Make that delivery, Dean Blevins. What an afternoon. Under a late November sky, the Ohio State Buckeyes lose their first game of the season. The Michigan Wolverines started a game plan on Monday. It began with Tim Biakabatuka, and it filtered down to the offensive line and then the defensive line. And they carried it out to perfection. Biakabatuka rushing 37 times for 313 yards and a touchdown, Todd Blackledge.
And Mark, I'll tell you what, I mean, there were so many big plays. As you take a look at the celebration on the Michigan sideline, there were so many big plays that the Wolverines made in this game. But if I have to single out one play, it was the 3rd down call on 3rd and 9 of the reverse late in the ball game that picked up a first down and enabled them to continue to eat up the clock after Ohio State had scored and was starting to, to get some momentum back in the game. It was a great call and well executed by Michigan. I really think that took the last bit of win out of Ohio State.
The Buckeyes finishing up the year 11-1. As we look at the star of the day for the Wolverines, Tim Biakabatuka.
Somebody will be buying him dinner tonight. So one of his teammates, somebody is going to treat him to a steak or pasta or whatever it is that his preference is, because he was unbelievable on the field today.
As we watch a triumphant Biakabatuka, we're going to go back to New York and John Saunders. John. Look at the final conference standings. Northwestern, the Big Ten champs in '95. For Dean Blevins and Todd Blackledge, I'm Mark Jones saying it's all good. So long, everybody.
And went to the Rose Bowl. Northwestern hoping that that same scenario played out on just a perfect Thanksgiving Saturday field in Ann Arbor. Eddie George, would his Heisman hopes be helped? Would he fire up his team? He wasn't the best running back on the field today. Timmy B was. Tamanga Biakabatuka had over 100 yards in the first quarter. This big run set up a touchdown, 7-3 Michigan. 24-15 Maize and Blue in the fourth quarter. And Biakabatuka, over 300 yards, finally gets in the end zone. 37 carries, 313 yards, and Northwestern watching every move and getting more emotional as the day goes on. Ohio State, those comes back. Bobby Hoying to Buster Tillman. They get two. It's 31-23. But remember, they need to score twice more because a tie does them no good. Hoying, fourth down, intercepted by the freshman Charles Woodson. Watch Northwestern players react to the pick on fourth down, knowing that they are going to Pasadena. Northwestern wins the Big Ten championship. Ohio State finishes second. Biakabatuka, a career best and a school season record with 1,724 yards. As for the Northwestern side, in Evanston after the Michigan win, ABC's John Spagnuolo spoke with Gary Barnett.